った。ありがとうございます。
How's it going, everybody? I'm Kyle from Fantasy Forge Studios, and we are back with session 53 of Wilderland Adventures. We are, well, I'm Kyle, and I am the lore master for this campaign that's been going on for, like a year and a half at this point? It's pretty crazy. But we're joined with all of our players that we have tonight, and we're going to go ahead and start it off with Theodric, as I'm going to have, in order, have everybody introduce themselves.
Hey everybody, I'm that Tubby Australian. I play Theodric Grimborn. He is our 17-year-old Slayer of Rohan. Slayer from Rohan is actually probably more accurate. And Theodric's currently in Voltaire's camp with his friends. We're in danger.
Absolutely.
That is all.
Lots of danger, lots of people, campfires are raging, all that fun stuff. Our next player that we have is Jess.
Hey, how we doing? I don't know why I'm saying that. Anyway, hello, I am Jess Mine Wagons. I'm also Spider-Man 3 in chats. I play sneaky little hobbitses who is sneaking away around camp. And doing all sorts of eavesdropping. I haven't found any rings yet. But
or eaves. Maybe some eaves.
Or what?
Eaves. Finding some eaves, or at least dropping them. Eaves.
Hilarious.
It's embarrassing.
That one went a little bit. I got it in the end. It's good. It's a good one. Yeah, she likes cooking and stabbing things and just having a good time.
Absolutely. And our final character is Feanor.
Hey guys, I'm Nick, or Lovecrest in the chat. I play Feanor, our Mirkwood Slayer. Currently in the depths of enemy territory, enemy camp. We're not staying here longer than we absolutely need to be. This is a very high danger scenario. If even one of us slips up, it could be the death of everyone. Total party wipeout.
TPK. TPK.
Let's hope that doesn't happen. If it does, you're on your own. Nim and me, whoop, out of the woods. Well, further into the woods. We're gone. But yes, let's hope that Jess doesn't reveal herself too soon, and that Theodric's cryptic conversation, which we still don't know anything about, with Voltaire doesn't lead to our doom.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to jump into the session, but before we do, again, I am Kyle. I'm the lore master. I'm playing both with and against these players as they, make a name for themselves and craft a story of their own legend within the pages of Middle-earth. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into some recap. A lot has happened up to this point. We're, I think 8 episodes into this adventure? Something like that. But up until now, the group of adventurers, they are currently tracking down a Beorning by the name of Oderic, someone who is thought to be a kinslayer. The party had stumbled upon a boat with a couple of dead Beornings, some very important Beornings, I would say, by the name of Maravich and Odo. And Maravich's sword and cloak were missing from it as this prisoner was being transported back to Beorn. And so Beorn tasked them with hunting down this individual, which they later learned to be Oderic. They made their way all the way down to Stonyford, the town in which he was, and they investigated a little bit to see what went on, and they discovered that, rumor has it, that he had slayed his sister's husband, essentially, so his brother-in-law. And there was a dispute and an argument, and there was a knife in the chest of the brother-in-law. In Stonyford, the brother-in-law was quite well respected, and this guy goes by the name of Rathvik, and the sister is Brunhild. And so they decided to do a little detective work and figure out, one, where Oderic is, and two, what actually happened. And to which Jess was able to have a conversation with Brunhild herself, to where she revealed that Oderic wasn't the one that actually killed Rathvik, but it was her by accident. She got in the middle of the fight, and a dagger was plunged into Rathvik's chest. Taking the blame for it, Oderic was essentially sent away by the Beordings to go have judgment in the Carrick, which him and his boat were set upon by orcs, and he was able to take the opportunity to escape and make his way back down south. And the party also did find out that as he came back through Stonyford, he asked Brunhild to leave with him to a place where they would be safe. Basically into the arms of a man named Voltaire. The group continued to track Oderic across the Anduin and westward until they came upon a forest to which they were being quite out in the open. They were being watched by no more than a couple dozen archers, and they announced themselves. Jess was able to stealthily hide, and they were brought into camp, not necessarily with hostile intentions, but they were brought forth before Voltaire himself, and exiting that tent before the two of them made their way in was Oderic, to which Jess hurried herself away in the camp and went to go try to find out where he was going and who he was and what he was about. But as both Feanor and Theodric were having their discussions with Voltaire, I'm going to just leave it to the three of you. First impressions on Voltaire, and then after that, Voltaire did have a conversation alone with Theodric, and that's where we left off. But first impressions on Voltaire before we dive into the session.
He's definitely a con artist or something. He's definitely just making a grab for power. He just seems like a super greedy human who's just like, hey, maybe there is some legitimacy to what he's saying of my great-great-great-grandfather was the king of the guard or whatever, but this isn't that kingdom, bro. It's been a while. Calm down.
For sure.
If you wanna dispute it, go there and dispute it. Don't try to forcibly take over an entire city. It ain't gonna work.
Absolutely. Everyone else's thoughts?
My thought is that this guy's gonna kill a lot of innocent people, and we should probably try and stop him. But Jess doesn't really know anything about that, so she hasn't formed an opinion as of yet.
The one thing that Jess did find out is he seemed to be talking to Oderic in a quite friendly manner before they started speaking in hushed tones. And so that's pretty much like the only thing that you have. You don't even have like a face to the voice at this point yet.
No,
so.
no, of course not. No. I'm locked in. I'm focused.
I love it. And Theodric, your thoughts?
I'm trying to figure out what I can say without giving away too much, but Voltaire, scary, scary man. That's all I'm gonna say for now. Scary, scary man.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to the party. But first, before I do that, Theodric, I'm gonna have you make a wisdom saving throw for me.
Oh shit! Right off the bat.
He rages out, immediately attacks Voltaire.
And this was the day that Theodric died.
Okay, I got a 2.
Okay. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
At least it wasn't in that one.
With that, we're gonna go ahead and jump over to Jess.
Yay!
So at this point, of everything, you've been kind of shadowing Oderic and Farron. The way that the two of them interact is they seem familiar with each other, but the general gist is that Oderic is pretty much been forced to be subservient to everything that Farron says, and it has basically been not even a conversation so much as an interrogation of over however long it's been. I'm gonna have you, Jess. I'm gonna have you make a perception check for me.
Okie dokie. Perception is not my strongest skill. That hurts. A natural 1 right off the bat. For a total of 2.
Basically, what you're able to see from this is someone who is definitely not used to dealing with younger people. Basically asserting as much power as he possibly can over this individual. Oderic, it's difficult to tell with Oderic exactly how he's feeling about it, but he remains mostly quiet, only giving a couple word answers to what he is, in response to what he's saying. There is a certain point, though, that Farron, he does say, Oderic, go. And he gestures over to the tent. Get your stuff ready. We'll be on the move. Well, at least to finish your initiation. Later this evening. Prepare yourself. And with that, he makes his way off into the woods. He goes and starts talking to a couple other people. At this point, you're kind of at like the far southwest of the camp, as I had mentioned last time. But there still are a decent amount of people that are wandering around. Many of them do have what look to be goblets and tankards of ale or whatever in their mugs, and no one seems, at least this deep into the woods, to be super on watch, if that makes sense. They're just casually walking around and chatting with each other.
Okay, so is Derek the one who's going off and chatting to people?
Farron is.
Okay.
Derek sits there on his stump. He gets up slowly, and he looks basically at down at himself, and he leaves like a deep sigh, goes, and almost as if kind of just stealing himself before he turns around, basically whirling the blue cape back behind him before he disappears into the tent.
Do I notice he doesn't have the sword on him?
What? Make a perception check for me.
Okay. Well, it can't get much worse. In fact, it can get a lot better. That was a 20 with math.
You do not see a gold-hilted sword. In fact, you see what looks to be a pretty average long sword on him. It's got a steel, basically like a steel and leather scabbard on it, and it looks like a steel hilt with like a leather grip. It is definitely not a golden hilt, what you're looking for.
Okay.
It doesn't look like a bad sword either, though.
Cool. So he's going back to a specific tent?
Yeah, it's basically right behind him. It's like, the way that this campsite is laid out is there's a bunch of kind of small little communities that like 3 or 4 tents kind of group up together around a small campfire. At this point, they're not quite lit yet, but the sun is fading fast, and soon they probably will start being lit. But this one is probably, it's one in a 3 tent clump.
I would like to mark it in my mind and remember where it is. And then I'm going to try and sneak back to the main tent where I think I saw Fainor and Theodric being let in.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm going to have you make a stealth check for me.
Okay, now, clarifying question, because last time we did stealth checks here, it was at advantage because... Yep. So it's still at advantage?
Still at advantage.
Perfect.
Nobody is none the wiser that anybody's within. There's no alert, and people are not sloshed, but they're drinking, and they're being casual.
Fair enough. I accept this very humbly. I got a 19.
Okay. You very easily make your way back, especially as it starts to get dark before pretty much everything is lit. It's pretty easy to stick to the shadows. And you do eventually return to the barreled position where you watch them go into the tent. And you see, after probably about 3 or 4-ish minutes, Theodric emerge alone. I'm going to have you make a investigation check for me.
Okay. Not super good at... Oh! Natural 20 for a total of 19.
You do spot Fainor just a bit away around the main campfire, which has already been lit. He seems to be talking to a couple of individuals, but as you look at Theodric, you see that there is a bit of general contemplation in him, and you can see that there's something that's just like weighing on him, weighing on his spirit, perhaps.
Cool. Is there anyone else like in the immediate vicinity?
There are. So there's always at this point at least 2 guards out in front of the tent, and so basically, if you enter this ring that's just right outside of Voltaire's tent, you will almost definitely be spotted. These men are not drinking, and they're pretty on alert.
That's fine. I'm gonna wait until Theodric gets a little ways away from the tent. I'm gonna tail him, and then I'm just gonna like in a very hushed whisper, like try and get his attention.
Theodric, what are you doing at this point? So you emerge from the tent, and the conversation that you have hangs in your mind's eye. And you stop for a moment as you contemplate everything that has been told. The face of this man, the lordly face of Voltaire. And you can't help but think to yourself that he definitely has more influence that you could than most might not think. You can absolutely see why this man inspires loyalty in the people that are here.
Theodric is going to look around for Feanor. First and foremost.
You see him almost immediately. He's sitting down with 2 familiar faces, actually. These were the 2 Rohirrim men that you basically had escorted you in. Eldor, the man from the east, the Easterling, he's still inside the tent. And as you leave, you can hear the 2 of them talking, not in hushed tones, just talking to each other, Voltaire and Eldor. But Grimslade and Krobin are both chatting very almost joyfully with Feanor, and at this point they've actually offered Feanor a drink. So there's a wooden tankard in Feanor's hand. Whether you drink or not is up to you, but they have offered you a drink, and they are talking to you very joyfully.
Yeah, Feanor might be like sipping at it, but he's not like indulging in having like huge like gobs of it. Like very much one of those actions of like it's very social. Like he's like gesturing with the mug, and he'll have like a little bit of a little sip every now and then, but it's more just to remain engaged with the people that are around him.
Make a traditions check for me.
Dirty 20.
This is very much an ale that you are familiar with. This is an ale of the Woodmen. They're not necessarily known as brewers, but they definitely have a kind of a more like floral hint to their ale. This seems pretty good, and it is quality as you sip from it.
Might even say when he has like his a drink, he goes, "This is some good stuff. You men really know your taste. Where'd you get a hold of it?"
Grimslade, he chuckles and he says, "From over there," as he points over to what looks to be a giant pile of what look to be assorted kegs and barrels and whatnot. He says, "More and more of these come in every day."
Your lord seems to be a very influential man. I see that many are trying to get in his good graces. Very smart people.
He's a difficult man to get in good graces of. He's not easy to he's not easily trusting of others. You see.
No, I got that. It's smart. It's very smart, as you would expect from someone as powerful and influential as your lord. I will admit I had not heard of him before my ventures, or his name had seemed like I'd heard him in passing, but having met him, wow, very, very charismatic. Very, I can see why people are drawn to him.
And the younger one, Krobin, he says, "Yeah, he's someone I could follow into battle any day. His dream is not only an inspiration, but it proves to us that there's hope even for those that aren't born into, well, a royal name per se."
This is I did have a talk with your lord before, and if this is overstepping any boundaries, please let me know. I have no wish to be disrespectful. But what is what is like his plans? Do you know, to battle against any shadow that has descended across the lands? He made it quite clear he wasn't fond of orcs or goblins, and no one really is. But like I said, I don't really know. Like, I offered to be of some assistance to your lord, and I would like to know more about what he's offering, so I may perhaps be a liaison between my people and yourselves.
Make a persuasion check for me.
A 4.
Grimslade, he chuckles and says, "Of course he's not a friend of those orcs. In fact, orcs, goblins, wolves, many of us are survivors of, well, conflict with them. And it is the strength that our Lord possesses that gives us the courage to be able to fight the shadow, if that's what you're asking. We are...
No, that is reassuring to hear. To have inspired so many in the conquest against, the battle against Shadow, you have to be more than an ordinary man.
Indeed, indeed. And I find strength in numbers tends to be, well, at least a safe bet for the meantime. As you can see, we don't have quite a permanent place of residence, and Lord Voltaire has promised us that in time we will be able to have a place to call our home. And eventually we have our eyes set to Dale, but for the meantime, a nice little settlement will do.
Why not take up residence in somewhere in like northern Mirkwood, perhaps on the edge of the forest? There's plenty of ruins and that you may be able to inhabit, at least if not briefly. To shy safer than that whatever battlements might be available might be safer than just in the woods. Someone might be able to approach the camp. You did seem to have quite a few men who noticed me, though, and I will say I'm a bit of a more on the stealthier side when I want to be. Comes with all the years of hunting.
Krobin says, "Well, you see, sir, if I'm not stepping out of line, I know you are an elf from the Mirkwood, but many of us men, I mean, there's a few woodmen amongst our ranks, but have never lived beneath the shadow of Mirkwood. You understand what happened in the past. That place used to be flooding with orcs and all kinds of darkness. The fact that Voltaire is, he has our best interests out for us. Living in Mirkwood and abandoned ruins tainted by evil creatures, that's not necessarily his, not necessarily his style. His prerogative is for our safety and for us to be able to contest the current leadership of Dale at the moment. And the more people we lose in the dangers of this world, the less likely that will be."
Okay. No, thank you. I understand. That's actually a very excellent point. I didn't consider that men might not fare quite as well in the woods as those of us who are native to it. You don't have the same kind of. I guess because I'm 101 years old. I've had over 100 years to explore the woods, so I suppose that is one advantage that an elf might have.
Well, if you do plan on joining Voltaire and his company, your leadership would be much appreciated. I'd feel much safer going into that dark place knowing that we had a wood elf with us.
Yes, I actually was able to take out a contingent of wild elves not long ago who were picking off men and dwarf and hobbit traders. Actually, it was quite the adventure. As much as they may have been my kin, they were a threat to everyone else, inviting shadow into the land.
Well, if you have the time, I would love to hear the story.
Cool. So Feanor's gonna kind of tell a slightly twisted, slightly warped version of Maegelin's story, and very vehemently hating on Maegelin here.
Okay.
Yeah, just gonna go into it. The spiders do not play as big a part, as what act they actually did, but the idea of it's a guy I was able to even rally his own men against him when he kind of lost his mind and stuff, and more or less wiped out this whole roving band of like marauders and mercenaries, like that had come. These elves had become. And I'll even say at the end, as much as I didn't agree with their methods, they all themselves wanted freedom from the current ruling class. I suppose, in a way, they're not too dissimilar from yourselves, wanting to overrule whoever is in charge in Dale. The underdog in this situation, but I have a good feeling about all of you. While those people are out pillaging and raiding on just innocents, you lot seem to be... Well, I say it has an advantage of having a lord on your side. Someone who can command respect rather than, just robbing it.
Make a deception check for me.
Feanor is not good at these.
I don't know why you keep putting Feanor in these
15.
social situations.
Oh, no, 15. It's because technically he is like a lesser noble, so he was kind of raised to do this stuff. He's just not very good at it.
Time spent on your own, that'll do that. But as you say these words, Grimslade, he says, well, we all seek somebody to follow, someone who earns our trust, someone who fights for us. We're not all so lucky to be able to have lords that are looking out for the best in us. And so, in Voltaire, I think you will find that he does inspire, I think, the best in all of us.
Yes. Feanor is just going, taking another sip, and he's going to just kind of like listen to the men talking while they're, offering like just more small talk at this point. He's done a lot of his tale telling and stuff. If someone asks him something directly, he will respond, but more or less just sitting down, being cheery.
Theodric, make a perception check for me.
Okie dokie.
See if you get above a 19.
No, I got a 5.
5. You do not hear Jess as you walk towards the fire as she calls out, trying to get your attention.
God damn it. Okay, it's fine. As I watch him walk away, I'm gonna pick up like a tiny little pebble and I'm gonna try and take careful aim and chuck it at his head.
I know, rocks.
Just
No.
a small one.
No.
Just a little.
Just make a straight
Call back.
dexterity check for me.
Easy.
Call back to the first sessions. was it session 2 ever that the Tad thing happened?
The Tad.
Yeah, actually. I got a 6.
6. You do miss him, not by much as it goes clattering on the side. But nobody really seems to notice except for one person that's on the far end that sees a rock, the rock fall into the ground, and he looks around concerned, but he doesn't see you, and he goes back to what he's doing.
Excellent. All right. Plan D. I'm gonna try and sneak around to see if I can chuck a little pebble at the back of Feanor's head.
Okay, make a stealth check for me.
I am quickly running out of options.
You're going to get yourself caught.
This is at advantage too.
Excellent. Oh, advantage. All right.
The stealth check. Yeah.
Oh, the stealth check?
Stealth check. Yep. Another stealth check as you
Excellent.
have to, because he's sitting like there's a fire between you and him. He's kind of on the far side of it. So.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of like working my way around.
Perfect. Stealth check for me.
I got a 12.
12. You do easily pass under some shadow. There's one sketchy part that there's kind of some light that's begun to shed across the path, and you have to make your way from one tent across the path to the other. You do so without being noticed, and you probably are able to duck behind the exact crates that were being mentioned. It's a bunch of ale and whatnot, barrels, and you're probably sitting about 15-ish feet from Feanor. If you wanted to toss a pebble at him, you wouldn't need to make a check.
Okay, I toss a pebble at the back of his head.
Okay, Feanor is going to very it's going to hit him and he's going to
okay,
turn.
but specifically, I want to throw like one of my shiny little rocks so he knows that it's me.
Okay.
Okay. Sees it's like a little bit of jade or something like that.
Yeah, it'll be here's a question for you. Are you still wearing the friendship bracelet I made you?
I'll have to check. I do like stuff like that. I would imagine he would
Yeah.
be.
Because it would be a
team
matching
friendship.
color.
Yeah, team friendship.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a man relieve himself. It's been a long day. What are the dreams?
All right, run along. And he points over towards like the southerly direction. There's a few houses over there, if we prefer to do it in the woods. It's up to you. Your prerogative.
No. I'll head towards, better to stay close to camp. And yeah, Fain's going to make his way over towards like the stuff. Just because going off on his own in the woods in the middle of the night, they might.
Maybe.
Yeah, Fain was just going to.
Cool. I will wait till he is alone before I reveal myself.
Okay. It takes a little bit of time as he's kind of just like wandering. He doesn't know exactly where you are, but he kind of just wanders in that general direction as he's kind of just like looking around from you. Probably about 1 or 2 minutes does pass, and the coast does eventually become clear. Theodric, as you see him stand up and leave, he doesn't seem to have noticed you approaching, but you make your way over to both Grimslade and Krobin as you watch a Feanor just kind of walk off into the distance. But let's go ahead and focus right now on Jess and Feanor.
The moment that I was I would also slip into shadows, just kind of like melting away into them so that no one would notice where I've gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is a bit more than we signed up for, isn't it?
Yes, no. What have you been able to find out?
Well, Oderic's here. He's in.
Yes, I believe I ran into him.
I know his tent, so I know where he was. He and this guy Farron seems to be his like babysitter or watcher or something. So this guy Farron said that Oderic had to get ready for the final part of his initiation. I don't know what that is, but it doesn't sound good. And there's a whole army here, and it's just not good. It's not a good time. And did you know those people who tried to rob me on the way to Lord Mogdred's, Tyrant's Hill?
Oh, yes.
They tried to kidnap me. It was these people. The guards who accosted you are the same people who wanted to kidnap me, and so that's why I didn't reveal myself. I thought that would be
that's okay. What was the name of the town where like Oderic and all that are from? Like, what was that?
Stonyford.
I found out that these people are planning to attack Stonyford.
That's madness. That's absolute madness.
Well,
I've also seen Oderic before.
What?
He was part of the group that tried to kidnap me. He seemed very unsure about the whole thing, I will say. I expected more of him. I thought he would...
We don't know him.
Anyway, he seemed unsure about what he was getting himself into. And I remember thinking at the time, he doesn't know what he's gotten himself into. This is a kid that is just completely lost. But now I'm thinking...
Do you think he's still able to be saved? Someone that we could talk to?
I mean, it'd be worth a try. We have to bring him in anyway, though, right?
I think, for now, our priority is to get the people of Stonyford to safety, and to warn Bjorn these people are planning on attacking the Bjornings and wiping them out.
But do we try and take Oderic?
Maybe we can leave a message as though it is from, like saying that we're here on behalf of his lady, his sister, and say that, there are plans to attack it. If you want to save her, you need to go there now. I don't know.
You think he doesn't know that they're going to attack Stonyford?
He might.
He seemed very friendly with Voltaire when he went into that
Well, he gave him the golden sword. I think it might not have necessarily been really a decision. This Voltaire dude seems to be something else. I don't know, there's something about him very foul. I did notice that he does seem to be on the prowl for anything magical. You know, at a mere mention of elvish magical artifacts, he lit up. I think whatever, if we can, it might be worth trying to sabotage some of this camp. You haven't been spotted, but I don't want you to have to risk yourself too much either.
I don't know how much sabotage we can. Oh, wait.
Well,
is there a communal pot?
Has there been like a kitchen or something that I have seen?
There has been no, as far as, Jess would really know, as far as going around each of like the small little campsites, it seems like most of the campsites have their own cooking, but if there's any sort of communal anything that's going on, it's going to be over the big bonfire that's in the center.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's been no pots that have been hanging per se on like over these campfires. So there's not really any way of knowing, as it's still early enough in the day where it's not quite dinner time yet.
But no, Jess, if you want to try and talk to him, get him to see what we're doing, see what's happening, then I trust you with that. But my first priority is going to be getting out of here as soon as possible and getting to Stonyford. I have to get those people away from the town. If this force is going to wipe through there, even with all the defenses that we made, the only real thing, if we can cripple them here, take out their supplies, that would probably be the best thing we could do. But I don't like our chances. Did you see any horses, anything like that when you were traveling around?
Kyle?
You did not.
No horse. No.
So we would have the advantage in travel time.
Yeah, a big group like this takes a long time to move.
Yes.
I think our objective should be get out of the camp tonight, get as far away as we possibly can.
Theodric and I are under the guise of being here for a couple days on our way passing north. Okay. You may have to flee from here on your own. Make your way to Stonyford, save those people, then get them to go inland towards Bjorn's settlements. If from there, hopefully Bjorn can send word, or maybe that weird woodman messenger guy who runs around, maybe he can call for aid from Woodman Hall. The information of these people needs to get out of here, and Theodric and I are in too deep at this point. If we disappear, they're going to know something's up, they'll accelerate their timeline. You are an unknown factor here. And how far away were we? We were about a half day's travel on horse.
Yeah, on horse. And so probably by foot, it would probably take about a day-ish to get to the Anduin to be able to cross. And so if there was an army of 250 soldiers that were marching their way towards Stonyford, it would take about a day, maybe a day and a half.
Okay.
So you might have to try and steal a pony, or actually, I'm going to hand her Nim's whistle. If you need to, in the night, hear me out, he is a wild animal. So I need you to be careful, but there is a wiseness to him. Now, this camp, I can cause the biggest ruckus on them letting my animal companion slip away in the night. They're going to think I'm a fool because it's just a deer. Take Nim and ride him to Stonyford.
She does still have the pony. Sorry.
No, the pony, they saw the pony. The pony was with Broderick, so the pony is in camp.
Is the pony in camp?
Nope, the pony was sent away with Broderick.
Send Broderick and the pony away.
Yeah.
Up north.
Okay, well then there's
I'll just take Burgundy. It'll be fine. I'm used to her.
If you know where they are, like it's.
I'll be able to find them. It's fine.
Well, I did forget that aspect. Then okay, yeah, it's going to be.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay.
Yes. Do you think the best course of action might be for you to head north and cross at the crossing instead of trying to just cross the river. Unless you think you can row your way across in the boat.
I can't swim.
Then go to the passage. On horseback, you'll be able to make it before these people are able to make their way back. My worry, though, is that whatever initiation that they have planned may involve Stonyford. Send a small group of men to attack in the early morning. Especially if it was his own home.
If what you're saying is true, I can't wait to talk to Oderic. You are going to have to try and sort that out.
And as you say that, Theodric, so we're back to you. You see Feanor wandering away off into the forest, a little bit, just kind of wandering, quite casually. And you approach the two at the fire. Do you plan to stop, or do you plan to continue following Feanor?
Theodric is going to stop in front of the fire and just go, where's he going?
Oh, he's going to take a crap.
And Theodric is going to sit down at the campfire with, was it Grimsby?
Grimslade and Krobin.
Grimslade and Krobin.
Grimsby. Oh, that's great.
The one
Grimbeard, the guy asleep.
There's something that keeps mulling over in your mind, Theodric. Particularly, you don't know why, but you have this very, very urgent desire to accomplish the task that you were set out to do.
Sus.
Okay.
That's sus.
It's kind of an unspeakable thing, but they look and they say, Oi, you plan to stay here for quite a while? And this is Krobin who's speaking. He seems to be a little bit more alcoholed up at this point, and he grabs actually the tankard that Feanor was holding, and he passes it over. Only a couple of sips were taken from it. As far as you know, it's pretty much new. And he hands it over to you. He's like, hey, drink up. Those cheeks need to be a little bit rosier. There's lots of celebration tonight.
Theodric is going to grab it, and he'll be like, thank you. I think I'll keep drinking. Your Lord Voltaire was very liberal with his wine tonight, so...
Don't tell me he gave you the Dorwinian stock. Rumor has it that it's the best in all of Middle-earth.
A little watered down compared to the ale I like, but it was good.
I get it. Well, hopefully this more suits your fancy.
Yes, that it does. Yes, hopefully we will be here a few more days. To be fair, Feanor's the brains of the operation, so if he says we're sticking around to, see if there's any work to be done here, then we're sticking around to see if there's any work to be done.
Grimslade says, Oi, don't sell yourself short. Clearly you've survived this long and you've become so large and warrior-like. You must have fought many battles, and that takes strategy and cunning to be able to survive orc attacks, warg attacks, who knows, even bandits, brigands, anything like that. That is a body that has been carved out of war, I can tell you that. I've seen it many a time. Many young lads down in Rohan I've seen grow up to be great warriors of the Mark. And you, I can tell that you're on your way.
Well, I thank you for your words, but and I like to think I'm quite a warrior, but I let Feanor lead us to gold and new jobs, and I just hit things. I think that suits our personalities well. Feanor finds the jobs, talks to the clients, I get the jobs done.
Well, what do you think of our Lord? He's quite different from the Lords of Rohan, don't you say?
Definitely. He's a man of action, which I do think is a nice change from the usual lords.
It's true.
And
it's true.
A man of vision. Big visions.
I would say so. It's uncanny. Some say that he has been able to predict the future, almost as if by the time we see him, it's almost as if he knows us. And I think that's really come, at least for me. It's been a long time. I don't even remember my phone father looking at me like that. He is very much a, at least he's a father to me, and he's, what, maybe 10 years older than me?
Yes, he's quite the charismatic leader. And Theodric's going to take a few more sips of the drink.
Drink up, drink up. There's plenty more where that came from. And he points over to the kegs over on the side. He's like, you know, tonight is a night of frivolity. We have many meals. There's a couple deer that were slain earlier today, and all of the men, we're gonna feast tonight. In fact, there's initiation tonight.
Initiation? Like what? Just like fight pit, or
No.
hunting down some bandits, or
Lord Voltaire, he's not one to revel in brutality, but he is one that does appreciate signs of loyalty. The initiations tend to vary. When I was initiated, and at this point this is still Grimsley talking, he's like, when I was initiated, it was more just giving information, public information, and I was out in front of everybody here telling my stories, and Lord Voltaire loves stories, and pretty much just told him everything I knew. For some others, it was more of them surrendering or giving something homage to be able to give, able to give Voltaire. Yeah, a tribute, per se. Me, fortunately, I didn't have to, and he points to his great spear that's leaning up against one of the tents off in the distance. Like, fortunately, I didn't have to get rid of mine or even my horse or anything like that, but I will say it's perhaps some of the more unsavory folks. It's more of a tradition of signs of loyalty, and he seems to know really how to get us, and at least be able to show what loyalty is. There's been a few that have been failed and have been exiled for such a case, but in many cases, all these men that you see here have undergone some kind of initiation or another.
While he's saying this, can I do an investigation check? Actually, a perception check.
Mm-hmm.
And can I just look around and see if there are any vulnerabilities around the camp?
Yeah, make a perception check for me.
Nat 20!
Hey! Epic.
It's a 21, but it's 20 plus 1.
The most clear vulnerability is the demeanor of the men that are here. Clearly, you can tell that there is, in their minds, there is safety in numbers, and there's almost a complacency that has settled amongst them. As far as maybe some other potential vulnerabilities, there doesn't seem to be a strategic watch. There's no rotation of any guards or anything like that. Many of the men seem to genuinely be ready to celebrate for whatever the case, whatever the reason. At least within the camp, as it were. Outside of the camp, that's probably a different story. Yeah, generally, you can just tell that people aren't looking. There's definitely a sense that, like, everybody that's here trusts everybody that's here.
Okay. And I don't know if I'll need a different check for this. For, like, you said earlier, well, last session, sorry, that their armor was, like, mishmash. Yet, like, there were a few people who had proper armor, but they were few and far between. And
For sure.
they were, like, mostly using, like, clubs and crude weapons, but there were a few with, like, proper weaponry. How about, like, shields? Like, are there many men walking around with shields, or
yeah, there's quite a few.
That?
There's quite a few, actually. Some of them look like whether they've been plundered for something or, like, not very well crafted, but there are definitely a few that look like they've either served lords in the past and have, like, actual shields with sigils on them. As mentioned, both Grimslade and Krobin, they actually still have the armor that they bear from Rohan, and Krobin actually has a shield. It's one of those wooden shields, kind of banded shields with, like, the green paint on it, and it has the horse on it. And some of the other ones that you see, there's definitely a couple Dale shields that are here, and actually some Woodman shields as well. With that natural 20, I will say, there is actually a shield that does pique your particular interest, and it's actually propped up against a tent that's sitting directly next to the tent that Voltaire is in, and there are 2 guards that are guarding this tent as well. But on the outside, you can see that there is a shield, and it's a completely like metal kite shield, and it has the emblem of a bear on it.
Okay. And Theodric, upon seeing all this, is just going to turn back to the other 2 and just say, well, your group's well outfitted, and everyone seems to be in eager spirits, so I can see why more people would want to join you. How many people are being initiated tonight?
As far as I know, 1. There's a young lad who came through. Perhaps you saw him. He actually came out of the tent right before, and he arrived no mere hours before you had arrived. But yeah, it seems that Voltaire really has taken a liking to this boy, and so I'm really curious to see what kind of show he puts with the young lad. He is Beorning, and he's actually, now that I think about it, the only Beorning. No, there's a couple. Oh, what about Gladesby? What about nah, he died. Well, you know, we lose a few men here and there doing our typical go-abouts. All of this stuff that we gather, it's not necessarily pillaged per se, but we are given it willingly. Let's just say that.
I mean, that's how it is sometimes, you know.
That's how it is.
Just a tax, a toll, for the safety of the roads. I mean, the Beornings do the same, don't they?
Krobin,
every time you see him, couple silver pennies for keeping the roads safe.
Krobin nods fervently, and he's like, "Yeah, it felt kind of weird at first, but now that I think about it, it's much easier than having to actually pay. I mean, not that we can't pay for the goods, and we have on occasion. Depends on the caravans that we run across. Many of them have actually come down from Mountain Hall. We've intercepted them, and many of actually their armaments and goods that we have taken are actually in that tent over there. They're kept under lock and key, let's just say."
Oh no, we now know what happened to those supplies.
And we didn't even have to go to Mountain Hall for it. Isn't this lucky?
This is lucky. Theodric's going to just kind of give a hearty chuckle and like think a little bit.
Lord Hardfast has been the greatest patron to, at least our cause, to whether he knows it or not. But Voltaire is, he will make it up to him in the future. I'm sure he will. It's more of just lending at this point. That's the way that I like to look at it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, from what I've heard, if Lord Voltaire is successful, then all the better for everyone else, right?
Indeed, indeed. It's just unfortunate that the other lords of the realm don't seem to eye with our lord. But he has gathered quite a few that are skilled with a blade, and if well, words don't suffice, then well, at least the show of power tends to have a persuading effect, I find.
Exactly. Theodric is going to, at this point, he's looking down at the bottom of his empty mug, and he's going to be like, I'm gonna go find Feanor. This is taking too long. Hope he hasn't fallen in or something.
Oh yeah, if you just go over there. He said he was gonna go over to the outhouses that are off in that direction.
Okay.
I'm actually kind of surprised he's not back yet.
Yeah.
I understand
I
it's a
don't know
difficult
how
place.
else-
It's easy to get lost here.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, put him in the woods and he's fine, but like that's like the Mirkwood woods. Like everywhere else, he's kind of useless.
It's true.
And
that's true.
with that, Theodric is going to stand up and toddle off towards the direction he's been pointed.
Perfect. And actually, so at this point, this is the time. This is the reason I cut back to that. Is this is the time that actually Theodric joins both Feanor and Jess. That little chit chat was happening while the two of you were convening. You had your small conversation, and now Theodric has wandered into kind of the remote area that you guys have gathered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. Okay. So. Theodric, what have you heard? I was just telling Jess here what we did, what I learned about Voltaire and my opinions.
Okay, what I've learned about Voltaire is we need to get the hell out of here right now. Like I'm saying, like get on him right. Like we're out. Like Maybe
Why?
set a
What
fire as a
happened?
distraction. No, he's scary. He's scary. Like, Maeglin's got nothing on this guy. Maeglin has nothing on this guy. Like,
Theodric,
Maeglin and
choose your words.
the bro from Tyrant's Hill,
Theodric,
they are nothing.
make a wisdom saving throw for me.
Was this the same as earlier today, or?
Nope, different one.
Sus.
21! 21!
Woo!
You
That's a
feel
nat 20 plus one.
you feel the sense of duty that's called upon you as you look back over to the tent. You almost as if his eyes are still on you, even though you can't even see like anything that you're far enough into the woods you can't even see that. You're just looking into the direction, but you feel almost as if there are eyes upon you, and you immediately shrug off this thought as you're kind of brought back to your own senses.
Yeah, look, this is real bad.
Okay, perfect. So,
Okay.
it's settled.
Okay.
We kidnap Oderic,
We're not,
and we
no,
leave.
no.
What?
What?
No.
How?
The whole
How do
reason
you
we
plan?
came here was fourth guy.
That's
Yes,
cool.
We're
Do
not
you think
leaving
Bayon will
without him.
care? No. Do you think Bayon will care if we don't come back with a murderer, or if we
Yes.
warn him about an imminent invasion?
We are going
No,
to get
the
paid
murderer isn't here.
if we bring him back.
I think Bayon will care more about 250 bloodthirsty psychos coming for him.
We can do
What?
both.
No, we can't.
Theodric.
Well-
Theodric. What exactly happened?
Voltaire can see the future.
Right.
Wait,
No, we have met
wait,
with-
wait.
We have met
Listen
with-
to him. I've heard about this. My grandmother taught me
Look,
about
he
this.
I
doesn't
only
make
know of a handful of elves who can see into the future,
He can see the.
let alone men.
He knew things he should not know about us. For example, he asked for Jessamine by name. He doesn't
We're
know she's
leaving.
here.
We're
Yeah,
leaving.
thank you. He said, at the end of our conversation, I thought everything was going fine. I played the dum-dum. And then he was like, oh, and if you find her, could you bring me Jessamine? And I said, I don't know who that is. And then I left very quickly.
Oh my lord. Okay, we are leaving.
Well, technically he said, bring me your hobbit, right? Which I think was a bit presumptive to, like, say that she's my
Okay, bring me your
But, like-
hobbit is very different
Okay,
from
Did he
from
say?
half.
bring me like calling
Did
me by
he
my name.
say Jessamine's name?
No, he said, bring me your halfling companion.
Oh,
Okay,
well,
that may have
that's
just meant that
fine.
one of his
He
scouts.
obviously knew that I was feeding you. That's fine.
I'm just saying,
Okay.
he knows things he should not, and
Look,
I mean-
we've been gone for long enough.
Look,
yeah.
What might be best is just that there is an initiation on tonight. We may be
Yes,
able to.
Specifically for Derek. He's going to be
Yes,
the
we need
center of
this,
attention and festivities.
Should we attempt to slip away then?
Yeah, I don't
When
think
most of the men will
I
be at the
still think
height.
we should bring Oderic with us.
Okay, but I just want to say this, Jessamine. There is an initiation of him. He is going to be the center of attention for 250 plus people. We cannot kidnap him in the middle of
the
that. That is
moment?
impossible.
At the moment, he is alone in his tent.
In the middle of
preparing
camp,
for the
yes.
initiation.
In the
Okay.
middle of camp.
Look, if we go to him and tell him that this whole army is marching towards his hometown and his stepsister, who he lied to defend, what do you
May
think
not
he's going
care.
to do?
But that may have been why he tried to take her out of Stonyford. He may have
To
already
join this
known it.
camp?
Yes. If he seems to
Do
have
you
taken
think
it-
he's the
if
type
Voltaire-
of person
if
who would let
Voltaire's
his
taken a
father's
sh-
house burn to the ground?
I don't know.
Perhaps he's a desperate man.
We don't know anything about this man.
I've
I'm
met him
saying-
before.
Are you willing to risk the lives of Bayon, all the people in Stonyford, all the Bayonings, all the mountain people, all the, like, the woodmen, for the sake of capturing one 19-year-old who didn't murder a man?
He may be an asset, that is all I'm saying. He has more intricate understanding of Voltaire and these men than we do. He might understand their tactics, how to fight back against them. But we also know that he probably can't be trusted. How would we get him out of here? If he disappears before his initiation and we disappear, this is the same thing, Jess, I was talking about. It accelerates our timeline. Apparently, you're no longer the wild card that we initially thought. I think it might be best, and Feanor pulls out his cases of lantern oil, to set some things alight in the woods.
Alright, fine. You light a fire, I'll get O'Derek.
No. I think if you can place these in strategic positions, oh, no, you know what? We need... As much as Voltaire may know about you, I don't know how many of his men do, and we need to get back before everyone knows.
Mm.
If you want to talk to him, you can try, but give yourself an out. Have an escape plan.
I will. And you
Theodric?
should be careful.
Yes, Theodric will try and escape during the initiation.
Yes, and a little tip for your lantern things. I think it's very possible to just accidentally drop a lantern somewhere and set alcohol ablaze. I've been seeing casks and barrels everywhere. Just scattered throughout the town.
And speaking of, these guys have been the ones stealing all the caravans coming from Mountain Hall.
Oh, well, there's another mystery solved.
Hey,
We can tell Lord Mugred.
Okay.
I'm sure he'd love to give him a lesson.
Yeah, okay, so, just like, out again for our plan is to let Jess try and deal with O'Derek. If not, she's just going to disappear into the night and run away. We're going to try and... I guess if we hear an alarm that there's a halfling in camp, we just fucking...
Yeah.
We book it.
We book it.
Yeah.
If need
Like,
be...
I'm fully telling you, like, if something dumb happens and Jess gets kidnapped, Jess will tell you, just don't worry about me, just leave.
If it goes bad, Theodric, you can ride Nim out of here. He'll get you to safety. I'll be able to just disappear into the woods.
Yeah. Look, Nim's big enough to carry us both, I think. It won't be comfortable, but it'll be better than nothing.
Perhaps, but
You guys did not.
if Voltaire is as dangerous as you're saying, if he seems to know things about us, like if he knows that Jess was there, that can be explained by a keen-eyed scout. Did he know anything about me and who I was?
Not particularly. He knew you were lying, but he knew about my visions and my search for answers. And
Well, look, you're not really the hardest book to read. You look a little bit mentally deranged, and everyone's always on a mission to find themselves.
He knew specifically that I was having visions about an ancient orc killing me.
Okay, that's weird.
It was very specific, like, and the man did literally say to me, he has been having visions, and he believes that if I join him, we can pretty much conquer Middle Earth together, which I'm not really cool with.
Okay.
I'd be
Jess-
so keen for Jess to meet this guy. Like, out of character, I don't want it to happen, but like, low key.
Just try to get through to O'Derek. If he won't, go under the guise of delivering a message from his sister.
I'll
Go under that guise, and if he will not come, just say, "Can you at least tell me something to let her know, or where to go to get out of town?"
You forget that he's actually met me before, so I'm not sure if that will work, but I'll give it a go.
Okay. So the plan again is Jessamine tries to convince O'Derek to leave, and then we escape when?
During the initiation.
The initiation of O'Derek, where he's not going to be there.
Oh, gee, yep, that did slip by my mind.
Is the only one they're initiating. That's what I'm saying.
Either way,
Yeah.
there's going to
Interpretation.
be a ruckus once they realize that he's missing.
I mean,
Either
look-
they realize that he's missing, and there's a ruckus, and you guys can use that
Okay.
to escape, or
I think we need to vote.
I'm just saying that
priorities
getting rid of
wise.
O'Derek is like somebody vanishing in the middle of their own birthday party when they're the center of attention. It's crazy. It would never happen.
And it does
have
seem
you never
like
been to a Hobbit birthday party before?
That's only ever happened once to Pilbush.
in the
out of character.
future. Oh my god, you can see the future.
We can see the future now.
I said out of character.
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
I guess it will
That we
come
know
down to
about.
a vote. All those in favor of putting O'Derek's life first in this situation to try and save him, like say aye.
I'm saying we can. We just need a better plan for us, because when
Yeah.
O'Derek doesn't show up,
Look, I can just disappear into the night. Can you?
You seem very sure of yourself disappearing when
I have advantage in wooden areas. So, game-wise, I have a 40 to 50% chance, extra chance of hiding in the woods with
Okay,
my +5s.
Look, just mind, just wing it, do whatever you think. We're gonna wing it too. We'll just hope for the best.
You
They're
know,
gonna be wondering why we're
with
taking so
planning,
long at the bathroom.
Never goes
Okay, hear me out. Do we have a signal? Explosion? Explosion.
Okay, yeah.
They're
If I
probably
see an
wondering why we're
explosion,
both-
I'll be sure to
Does
get out.
everyone have lantern oil or something that they can light a fire with?
I believe so.
Okay, because you get 5 charges, so you can light 5 smaller fires, or just go full bomb like I did. And throw
Oh, there you
those
go.
bombs.
Yes, I have one of 3 charges, so I'm good.
Okay. Feanor is going to start making his way back with Theodric, and Feanor's going to be like holding his stomach and kind of have a hand on Theodric's shoulder as we start walking back towards the camp.
Perfect. And I'm going to stealth back to Oderic's tent.
Okay, perfect. Jess, make a stealth check for me. Both Theodric and Feanor. Actually, I'm gonna have Feanor at advantage. I'm gonna have you make a deception check for me.
A 13.
Okay, and Jess.
18 with advantage.
Yep, Jess, you make it back very, very easily. And as you go, you actually do notice a few things. You pick up a couple conversations as people have started at this point, not necessarily drunkenly, but just very openly, just talking to each other about the ongoings. I'm gonna have you with that roll a d10 for me.
Ooh. Sounds like a percentile with less steps.
Sure does.
3.
One of the things that you do here is there's a group of probably 4 or 5 sitting around a campfire. You can tell that these are all probably neighbors within the tents in their specific quarter. And you can hear them debating over something, what sounds to be strategy. You stop for a moment as you listen to what they're saying, but from what you can tell and what you can make out, the camp seems somewhat divided over what the next move should be. Some believe that they should take Stonyford, a largely, in their minds, a largely abandoned settlement and an undefended settlement. And they wish to do this to develop some kind of a stronghold to be able to have basically direct orders come from. But others are arguing for the direct assault on Beorn's lands to prevent him from mustering his forces. Meaning, if they were to take Stonyford first, the news would travel up to Beorn and there would be time for a counterattack. And so the debate between these 5 individuals seems to be growing more and more heated as actually someone stands up and begins to push the other. And eventually they do calm down as you scurry away. I'm going to have you roll another d10 for me.
One.
There's someone who seems to be a little bit downcast, and this boy is drunk, and he looks like a boy. Based off of his general appearance, I'm gonna have you make a traditions check for me, and based off of his speech and everything.
That is a natty 1 for a total of 0.
It's difficult to tell, but you essentially hear him say very specifically that it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. Oh, why did Friedrich, all he had to do for his initiation was sing a song of his people in front of everyone? But I had to give away my most beloved artifact. Oh, You could just hear him just wailing into his cup, quite sad about the fact that he had to give up his artifact in order to be a part of this.
Okay.
I'm going to have you roll one more d10 for me.
Interesting. An idea is beginning to form in my mind. Oh, I got a 10.
10.
From rags to riches.
With that, you begin to actually hear Farron. You stop for a moment as you hear Farron's voice, and you're brought back to that night at camp. And he kind of has like almost like this like very like silky voice where it's just like it sounds closer than it is. But you press yourself against a tent and dip behind some barrels, and you can tell that Farron is speaking to two individuals. These look to be some kind of guard. Probably someone who's probably closer to Voltaire. He begins.
Is Farron one of the people that accosted me, or
He was the leader of them, and he's the one who's in charge of Oderic. But Oderic is not with him at this point.
Okay.
He begins to talk about. You hear him say, "Lord Voltaire is he's got a lot of thinking to do." And one of the other guy, he's like, "Eh? How so?" And he continues. Farron continues. He says, "Do you remember when those men from the north came about a week ago? I didn't like the looks of them. They were, well, I could tell that they weren't as well educated as Lord Voltaire would like them to be." And Farron, he stops and stares him directly in the eyes. He's like, "Weren't you there? Do you have any idea what came out of this conversation?" And the guys just stare at Farron, just like almost like intimidated by him as he says, "Those were emissaries from the north. As you know, Voltaire has been more and more by the day, more and more have joined his cause. And it is something that I absolutely believe in. I think if we were able to take Dale, if we were able to establish ourselves and establish Lord Voltaire as Lord and King of Dale, we would have the power to be able to not necessarily, or not just exert influence throughout all the kingdoms, but we would be able to stand against such an enemy as this." And the others look and they're like, "Enemy? Those meatheads?" And he says, "Don't underestimate the strength of men." And he leans in closer. I'm going to have you make a perception check for me, Jess.
Yeah, because I've been doing so well on those. 8.
You hear the
Get it
name.
better.
You hear the name Vigeland. And he says, "Voltaire has been left with a choice to either do this alone or join forces with the King of the North." And that's all you're able to hear before they pass away.
Okay.
And with that, you're finally able to make your way over to Oderic's tent.
Okay, perfect. I scout around, and I'm assuming there's people like within hearing distance if like a loud yell or
Absolutely,
scream, like-
absolutely. So I would
Okay.
say there's not necessarily
know.
anybody within the immediate vicinity within the circle, but there's definitely probably about 20 people within eyesight of your current location. Because this tent is kind of tucked away towards the corner of the camp, it's not like you're in the middle of the camp with Oderic, but there
Okay.
are those that are still out and about that seem to be either sitting and talking with each other or just drinking or just wandering.
Perfect. How far away am I from the edge of the camp, do you think? Like, from here to like the woods where there's like tree cover and stuff.
Probably about a 3-minute walk through camp. This would be if you were taking him due south. There's more camp to the
Yeah.
west. There's definitely more
Yeah.
camp to the east and to the north. Majority of the camp lies to the north.
Okay.
So you would have to definitely make, I would say, like 2 or 3 stealth checks in order to sneak somebody out if you were to do so.
Yeah.
And more difficult if they weren't willing to come willingly.
Yeah. It's not exactly why I'm asking, but yeah, I like the thought. Perfect. All right. I'm just gonna like steal myself a little bit, and I'm just gonna walk in the tent flap. Just drop stealth as soon as I'm inside the tent, basically.
As you do so, you see back turned to you, and the cloak has been taken off of O'Derrick and placed on what looks to be a small little cot. He's sitting on a log stool as he sits there, like with his back turned from you, kind of in the middle of the room with his with his head in his hands. I'm gonna have you make a insight check for me.
Excellent. Big money, no Emmys. Yes, 17.
He's sleeping
On the chair.
on the chair.
Interesting. Interesting technique. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna like shake him gently just to wake him up, and then I'll just like jump back, in a defensive position in case he tries anything.
You do so, and he goes, and he grumbles, and he slumps over, and he almost like takes his hands out of his head out of his hands. And he kind of like loses himself and loses balance and kind of like falls half off of the stool. And he jumps to his feet. He's like, whoa, whoa, and he partially unsheaths his sword, but still it's in the sheath. But he looks around until his eyes focus on you.
Relax, it's me.
You can tell that he's like racking his memory as if he knows you. And he's like,
you remember me, right? On the road to Tyrant's Hill.
And immediately there's some recognition that snaps back into his brain. He's like, what do you want? Why are you here?
That's complicated. Well, firstly, thank you for not yelling or screaming or making a racket. That makes things...
Shh! And he bids you to like come in further as he like sits you down like on the bed, and he begins to kind of like pile up like his cloak and everything to kind of almost block like between you and like the tent flap. And he says, what are you doing here?
I knew you were a good person. I'm here because I knew you were a good person. Deep down, you've made mistakes, but you know you can be
You
better.
have no idea what would happen if Farron knew you were here. You were the reason that we were so scattered, and many of his friends died because of you.
What?
Well, maybe not because of you, but...
You were the ones who wanted to kidnap me. Okay,
Wait, what do you mean kidnap? What are you talking about?
Do you not remember? I offered to cook you guys a meal. I offered to
And it was
pay
delicious,
you to take
thank you.
to Tyrant's Hill, and then in response, Farron, is that his name, Farron?
Yes. Farron.
Anyway, he wanted to bring me here.
Yeah, to cook for all of us. You seem to come
But
in
I
so
didn't want to
willingly.
cook
I
for
don't
all of you.
understand.
Plus, you were holding a dwarf prisoner. The mason who was building the road to Tyrant's Hill.
Yeah. I remember. And you could tell that he stood up at full height. And this guy probably stands about like 6'8", like basketball player height.
Cool.
And he's huge. And he just like his hand is on his head, his hand is on his other on his sword. So he just like looks around and just like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna say? As he looks back to you and he says, why are you here?
I'm here. I'm here because of you.
Okay. Well, you found me.
Yes, I did, and I wasn't expecting all of this. But anyway, how would you like to come back to Stonyford with me and my friends? You know, the elf and the human. You know, they were walking into Voltaire's tent as you were Where?
Yeah, I remember the elf. That I've never seen an elf here. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen an elf before.
Interesting. Well, good news. You have plenty of time to get acquainted because I'm hoping that all four of us can get out of here tonight.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about going to Stonyford and evacuating the town so it doesn't get mauled by this huge war camp.
But I'm not welcome back. Wait, what? Hold up. No. We need to start from the beginning here. How do you know I'm from Stonyford?
I said I was looking for you. I've been tracking you for quite a while, an embarrassing long time. Well, I suppose there's no good way to put this. We found the bodies of, what was his name? Jess would remember his name.
Was it Maravich?
Maravich and Odo.
Odo. Yes, thank you. My companions and I, were heading to Mountain Hall, and we stumbled across the bodies of Maravich and Odo.
Immediately, his demeanor, slinks, down, and his the great presence suddenly becomes almost minuscule, and he sits back down onto the stool.
And basically, we've been trailing you ever since. Now, I know why they were taking you to Beyond's Land. And I know you may have done some
I don't
things.
think you do. No.
I do. Brynhild told me. She told me what really happened.
At the mention of his sister's name, he snaps and he just looks at you very intently. You are unsure whether it's just absolute anger that is swelling up in him, but or just concern. It's difficult to tell. But he looks at you almost like this, fire in his eyes begins to light up, and he says, "And what? You come for me to be taken back to the carriage so I can be put to death?" I have a better life here.
Is it?
At least I'm respected. My entire life in Stonyford, I've just been an outcast.
There are other, better ways you can fit into a place.
Then what?
It's a big world.
Yeah, I have everything that I have here. Lord Voltaire, he's done so much for me. He's bent over backwards just to make sure that I'm cared for, that I'm provided for. He's the only one outside of Brynhild that's actually ever listened to me. I feel known by him.
Okay. That's fine. If you can look me in the eye and honestly say that anything that man has given you or will be able to give you is worth the cost of your hometown, your father, well, I suppose adopted father, but still.
I don't
And there's
understand
no
what this
guarantee
has
that
to do
Brynhild
with...
would make it out in one piece either.
What does my being here have to do with my hometown of Stonyford?
I've heard talk in this camp. They seem torn true. But there is a good chance that this camp marches on Stonyford and destroys everything that's there.
There's literally nothing in Stonyford for them. Why would they do that?
As a foothold. So they can have a strong position to take over Bjorn's lands.
Make a persuasion check at advantage for me.
Egg.
Oh.
21.
Listen.
Is that
listen.
from both of them? Yes. Nice.
I'm sorry for what happened in the past. I should have done something.
I hold no grudges against you.
I want to be completely clear. The reason I left Stonyford was to protect the people that I cared about. Most especially Brynhild. If she is in danger, this might sound bad, but As long as she's out of there, I don't care what we do to Stonyford. I mean, it was my home for as long as I knew. But they don't want to see me. Brunhild doesn't want to see me. There's nothing that I could do to convince her to leave. Her entire life was back there. You understand that?
I do.
Rathvik, the man that I killed, is there.
The man that you killed.
That's why you're following me, isn't it?
The reason we were following you because we wanted to know what happened. Mirovich was dead when we found him. We didn't even know why you were on that boat. All we knew is you'd taken the cloak and the sword. Admittedly, we might not get the sword back now, but that's far secondary concern to me. We had decided to bring you in, and we had decided to bring Brunhild in as well. And then we saw this.
Wait. Brunhild has nothing to do with this.
Listen to me. Listen. The only reason I am in this tent talking to you right now is because I convinced my friends to let me try and convince you to escape with us tonight. That's it.
Do you understand what you're asking of me?
I'm asking you to do the right thing.
Why do you make sense? Why does this make sense? No. Everyone in my life has abandoned me. Voltaire is the only one who's accepted me. This is... You're asking me to leave acceptance behind. You're asking me to go willingly to my death, bringing Brunhild with me.
It might not necessarily be a death.
Do you understand the laws of the Beornings? It's an eye for an eye. If you kill someone, you're judged to death. That's the laws of the Beornings. It's harsh, and admittedly so. I hurt one of my own people. He was a good man, Rathvik. Well,
was he?
He was a good man. I couldn't stand the thought of my sister being taken away by somebody else. I've been used my entire life to have her by my side. And I don't know, maybe it's selfish of me, but I did not make Rathvik's life easy. I didn't. And it's because of me that we're in this current situation. Listen. Lord Voltaire does not know about Brunhild, and I would hope that he doesn't find out.
Okay.
What is your plan? We go to the Karok, we are judged, and then what? What if I'm let free? Then I'm off to wander the world and fall in with another person. And it seems every decision that I've made into my life up until now has been the wrong decision. How can I even trust myself with that?
You would be surprised just how many people there are who feel like they are the only ones, like, who feel, pretty much the same way, actually. You were on the road to Tyrant's Hill. Did you ever get to, the castle there?
I know of it, though. There are stories in the woods that it's a wicked place. We were tasked with scouting it out, and I had been, well, at least back in the day, that's when I first started kind of dabbling in what it is that, well, at least from what I knew Farron did at the time. We were to scout out Tyrant's Hill. We were to see what kind of threat that it caused, if there was an orc presence that was there. And then before we were able to do anything about it, we realized that there were knights that came charging at us and scattered us in every direction. I was lost in that Mirkwood, I kid you not, for probably a solid 3 weeks. And
I'm sorry.
I have never been more terrified in my entire life. That is until that night when I did what I did. When you are confronted with death,
Yeah, it's not easy.
it gives you some retrospective on everything and what truly matters. And what matters to me is that Brunhild is safe. She will not come to the Karok. She will not. I will not come with you if she comes to the Karok. She has nothing to do with this. She is a victim in all of this.
So what's your story of what happened to that? You know what, this is beside the point. I don't know how much time we have before someone notices us talking.
You're right. Well, what now?
In saying that, well, you have your initiation coming up, is that right?
I do. Should be, and he thinks about it. Well, a couple hours ago, it was mentioned to me that it would be directly after the feast. I don't know what it will be. To be honest,
Okay.
I haven't been told anything one way or another.
Well, in that case, we have a few options. If there's a feast, we can use that as a distraction to slip away. Or if you fail the initiation, then you get exiled, correct?
From what I've heard.
Seems like a relatively simple way to slip away.
It's not that simple. I mean, I just am seeing you again after months about you cooked some bacon for me.
I did.
This is
It's
all
good bacon.
it's really good bacon, but this is all so much. I want you to
I know.
understand that this is all so much. What you're asking me to do is risk everything that I have, and I understand the consequences, and you might be right. I deserve what's coming for me.
It's less about what I think. I'm perfectly willing to try and to appeal to whatever type of mercy Bjorn has. Beseech for understanding, tell him all the facts that I know. That would be easier if you had some better marks against your name, shall I put it. And then, like I said, if you decide, like, if Bayon says, okay, you're free to go, there are other options for you out there. We are adventurers, my companions and I. We're scouring Wilderland at the moment, traveling up and down, solving problems that need solving. You could always retire at the Easterly Inn. It's very nice there. I'm sure they'd be glad to have a guard. And you could enjoy Hobbit hospitality every day of the year. Alternatively, I'm sure Maldred is in need of some more warriors. He is the Lord of Tyrant's Hill. And I know that he's made some mistakes of his own in the past that he's not making up for so much as trying to fight against. I say all this to you because I want you to believe there is a future out there. More than just what is in this war camp. If this campaign is successful, then you'll be at war for, what, the next 3-5 years, perhaps?
Make a persuasion check for me, and this could be at advantage.
Excellent. $17.
I understand that. I appreciate, and you can tell as he says the word appreciate that it's something that he's not used to saying. I appreciate your care for someone that you don't even know. But I cannot just sneak out of here without anybody knowing. Voltaire, Lord Voltaire, he expects much from me. If I were just to up and leave, this entire place would be in chaos.
You're that important.
Jess, is it?
Just mine, yeah.
Jess, mine.
Jess.
If we are going to do this, we're going to do this right. If I were to leave without a trace, Stonyford would be the first place they'd come looking for me. I'm going to have to do something. Something to gain Voltaire's trust. He sees great potential in me, and this initiation is his way of trusting me. It isn't until you go through initiation and make your way to this step, and it's been multiple months coming, that once I am initiated, I will be able to go out on my own without Farron looking over me. If I'm to go through this initiation, he gives a big gulp. I will be free to do as I please, but always be at my lord's bidding. If I am to break that oath, to save Brunhild, I will. But leaving here a moment too soon will mean almost certain death for her and everybody in Stonyford. Understand that.
I'll nod.
And with that, we're going to make our way over to Feanor and Theodric. As you return to the center of camp, it is about 6 p.m. and the sun is basically, as far west as you are, the sun has pretty much set over the Misty Mountains, and way off into the distance, you can see that there's some sun glinting, but the fires have started to become lit, and you can smell meals well and full cooking. Lots of parts of deer have been placed in many of the campfires that are around the immediate vicinity of the center of camp. But there is a large, basically rotisserie spigot of what looks to be a bunch of deer parts that is being roasted, and you can see that there are a couple men who seem to be cooking something off to the side. Looks to be vegetables. It looks to be some kind of fruits, as if they're baking as well. The smells are very enticing. Maybe not quite the same as Easterly Inn or Jess status, but as far as a camp of individuals go, this is a lot of food in pretty decent quality from what you can smell. And at this point, many of the folk have gathered around the center as they have started to smell and become attracted by this aroma. But as you begin to enter kind of the main circle of the camp, you are immediately greeted by Eldor, the Easterling. And he looks to you and he says, "Oi, not sneaking off too far, are you? Hopefully your bowels are feeling much lighter at this point."
It didn't come out of my bowels. I I entered one of these huts that you call a lavatory, and the stench. Oh, it wouldn't stop. Oh, I couldn't stop throwing up. Oh, I've never seen something. Never seen.
All right. We move them every couple of days, but I get the point. I understand. Maybe your elvish stomach can't handle it. What about you?
I've
And
never
he
seen
points over to
something so
Theodric.
gross. Even a split open orc's head.
Okay. You don't have to worry about. Look, don't pay him any mind. Elves have sensitive smell, and he's a bit of a press. He also look. We bought some fish. We had some fish this morning that we bought off a guy. He was kind of dodgy, but it was cheap. I still reckon that salmon didn't look right, if I'm being honest. But,
It was green. I thought salmon were green. Ugh.
Okay. I understand.
He's an idiot.
Are you okay to eat this feast that has been
I'm good.
prepared? And
I
you?
have evacuated everything that was within me. I would think I'll perish if I do not eat. Please, a drink, some food.
Fine. Here, and he
Need to wash this
basically
taste out of my
he
mouth.
bids you come over, kind of on the other side, closer to Voltaire's tent, as many number of seats and tables have been placed in this area, and he allows the two of you to sit down together at a table as little by little bits and pieces of this deer is getting shaved off of these rotisserie spigots and brought to everybody in camp. And as it's placed in front of you, it looks absolutely succulent. You can tell that it's not only been braised and cooked right, but it's been seasoned as well, which is rarity, particularly. And the aromas are just mouth-watering. And you sit down, and this is fed in front. Basically, everybody gets fed. There's some soup, actually little bits of salad, side salads, and everyone. And you can tell everybody is jovial as they sit down. And none of them dig in yet, though. They seem to be waiting for something. And at this point, you see the tent drawn, and Voltaire comes out. And as he dips underneath the tent entrance, he stands quite tall, probably about 6'2", 6'3", for a man. And he almost has this lordly presence to him. At his side, you see the gold sword as he smiles to all of you, and he says, yes, welcome. One of our own is going to be initiated tonight, and this feast is in honor of Oderic. And he raises his wine glass, and everybody does so in turn with their tankards and whatnot. And they all say, "To Oderic!" And he says, yes, good lad. Hopefully you will all come to enjoy his company as much as I have. You see, as we have grown in number, and he begins this speech. He stands in one place, and he has his one hand behind his back and the other on his sword. And this whole time, he looks to all of you, each person almost individually, and he says, "You see, it's been some time, and I just think after the events of today, the events of our new guests." And he raises his glass to both Feanor and Theodric.
Huzzah!
And to our new guests, my eyes have been opened. A grand future awaits us. We've spent many a month preparing for moments such as this. And while we're still a couple days away from our campaign, I want each and every one of you to understand just how truly grateful I am to you. How much I appreciate you and your service, that you've given up so much in your life to be here in this moment. It's not an easy thing to get up, leave those that you love, leave your homes. To be, in relative uncomfort, my goal is to make sure that you are all comfortable, full bellies, eating like this for the rest of your lives. And he stops for a moment and he just smiles to himself and he says, "You all call me Lord, but I do not call you my servants. I call each of you my friends. And I mean it out of the bottom of my heart. I've come to know each and every one of you during these past few months. No time has been spent on my part sitting idly by as you go about and do my work. We've done this together. The future that we are going to build is going to be glorious. And the new kingdom of Dale shall stand as the pinnacle of what all kingdoms of men in Middle-earth are going to look towards, overshadowing even those of our southern counterparts in Gondor, Rohan. We will be respected, and we will be loved. To all of you, the sacrifice that I am asking you to make on my account, I want you to understand, let it sink in. Many of you will not make it. But I think that we have the strength to be able to persevere, to achieve dreams, to find glory, and in the process, drive back the shadows from all corners of this land. Men of the East, men of the North and of the South, of the West, we will be united together, and we will bring forth an era, an age of prosperity, an age of peace. Our enemies will tremble before us, and the free peoples will forevermore not have to fear the shadow. We will grow strong, and with your help, we will bring about the glory of the elder days. It will no longer be an age of elves, of dwarves. While they will be our allies in this fight, it will be an age of men. And he nods over to you, Feanor, and he says, we are already expanding. Friendship is within our grasp between the others that maybe will not see eye to eye with our immediate vision, but they will come to know that our purpose, our goal, is one of truth and one of justice. We fight on the side of all that is good in this world. We will not usurp a throne, but reclaim what is rightfully mine, what is rightfully all of ours. There is a false person that sits upon that throne in Dale, and he commands respect. And I only hope that once I take the throne, I could only command the respect of all of Bard's loyal comrades. And that one day they will see me as their new lord, just as all of you have. He will unite all peoples, and safety and prosperity will once again return to Middle-earth. And he raises his glass, and immediately everybody together shouts, "Huzzah! Huzzah!" And with that, the meal starts, and everybody starts eating and enjoys their food. And Voltaire, he makes his way, and he sits and he chats with some of the people here and there, and they all seem quite happy when he does approach. He sits down, and he actually genuinely engages in discourse with them, and he eventually makes his way over to you, Theodric and Feanor, and he says, "So, you enjoying the feast?"
Ah, yes, I was feeling unwell earlier, but honestly, having some food in my belly and a drink in hand is, helping me settle down.
Oh,
It's nice to be amongst people again. Yes.
indeed. I'm sorry to hear about that. When we met last, you seemed fit as a fiddle. Must have just happened all of a sudden, right?
Some nasty fish, and the latrines, I went to them, not particularly clean. But
Say no more. I understand. I've had a foul fish in my day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we lost Feanor.
Did he just drop out?
Did we lose Feanor?
We lost Feanor.
Dale.
Maravich should just
Sorry,
punch
no,
him straight to
it's
the
fine.
chest.
Sorry, I will be just 1 second.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. He looks to you,
Yeah,
Theodric.
Dre!
He looks to you, Theodric, and he says, "I'm glad that you look still healthy.
Mhm.
It seems we're one companion short." And he looks directly at Theodric, but also to you, Feanor. He says, "Last I knew that there was a halfling traveling with you."
Not to my knowledge, no.
Oh,
Not for
We
a
had our
while,
horses. Theodric needs to go retrieve his horse. When we were initially approaching, he kind of scared it off. But no.
it's understandable. It's understandable. Enjoy your meal. And he stands up and he walks away. And he just continues talking with the rest of the people. And eventually, Farron walks up with a man adorned in a blue cloak, O'Derek. At this point, between the part where Jess, you had spoken with him and he was brought forth, you were actually pretty soon interrupted by Farron, to which you were able to very skillfully hide. Fortunately, kind of the barricade that he set up was enough, and he grabbed his cloak, and without much, he was whisked away off towards
Excellent.
the feast.
Perfect. Alright, well, I've done all I could do, so,
What are you planning to do? Do you want to trail? Do you want to do anything else while you are here? At this point, you peek your head outside of the tent, and it is largely abandoned. There is pretty much nobody in this area.
is it really?
It is.
Time to go looting, my boy!
15 points of shadow immediately.
hey, I can't get shadow from looting these guys. They're the bad
What?
guys.
I'm not sure if that's necessarily true.
And with that,
yeah.
I'm going to
not
have
necessarily looting, but
Okay.
I'm gonna like take the opportunity now that like the camp's sort of emptied out that I'm
Mhm.
gonna like try and see if there's a way I can cause mischief, and you know, if I see something shiny, then I'm gonna pick it up. That's just how I am.
make an investigation check for me.
Okay, perfect. I'm not good at those. I got a natural 20.
For the most part, the vast majority of people seem to have taken their belongings with them. However, there is, as you're scouring kind of the tents in various areas, there's one tent that looks particularly interesting. This one seems to have more stuff than the rest of them, and propped up on what looks to be like a stump is a chest. The chest is probably like yay big, like kind of like a personal chest, but it is wide open. And inside it, you can see that there is a number of cloths, but you can see the hilt of what looks to be a handle of something. As you look closer to investigate, you see that the handle itself is adorned in gold and red engravings. And the engravings are actually quite ornate and elegant. They seem to depict what looks to be a dragon like helmet, a man wearing a dragon helmet sitting upon a throne, and that's like carved into like the center of the hilt. And as you draw this blade, you see that it's slightly curved. You can go ahead and add to your inventory. Nat 20s are a nice thing, aren't they? You can go ahead and add to your inventory the Blade of Rune. BLADE of, and then RHUN. Blade of Rune.
Let me see if I can find it.
Should have the Adventures in Middle Earth tag.
There it is. It is a short sword. Perfect.
It's a short sword. And I'm going to have you make a wisdom saving throw for me.
Is this against points of shadow?
It is against points of shadow.
Perfect. I have advantage. 16.
16. You gain 1 point of shadow.
Hey,
And
I will take it.
you equipped this, and this looks to be a very, very ornate blade, and it looks quite old, in fact. There's something about it that, going into the future, you feel that this is going to be quite useful in your future adventures. But as far as checking out the rest of the camp as well, everything is largely abandoned, and the general gist that you see is this is a war camp, and so people don't take more here than they would so otherwise. They either have some other place that they have all of their belongings stored, with the exception of this person who seems to have brought this with them. But as you look around, you can see that some of these campfires are still going. Some of them have been quenched as people have made their way towards the main feast area. But it is completely empty as you continue to search. There's not much else of interest around here.
Okay, perfect. There's no like conveniently placed barrels of, liquor or something.
There's plenty of those all around, and so about each campsite has its own stash of like 1 or 2 kegs, and they're from different things, but it's pretty much all like alcohol and food, and every little campsite is more than stocked with everything that it needs.
Sweet. How much time do I think does O'Derek have before his initiation ceremony?
Well, from what the looks of it, he looked like he was being brought directly to it. And so while you are searching the campsite, the events about what are about to partake are probably in full swing.
Yeah, perfect. All right. In that case, I'm just going to set a quick fuse from like one of the existing campfires to like one of the barrels of thing to like make it look a little bit like an accident. But also, like, I'm doing this on purpose.
I will just, yeah. I will quickly ask, was this part of the plan along with what O'Derek said, or are you just doing something else? Like,
honestly, I'm just winging it because I don't know what O'Derek's gonna be doing.
No, that's
fine. Betray
fine.
us all tonight. We don't know.
That's fine. I just wanted to double check.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, not double check. Yes. Just because I disappeared for a little bit, and I was making a little moment before.
Yeah,
I was making sure I hadn't missed something like important, like vitally important that was about to happen. But sorry.
Yeah, so I'm gonna set that, and then I'm gonna sneak out of camp, past the guards, hopefully, and I'm going to try and retrieve the horses/pony.
Perfect. And you easily are able to slip away into the night. And as this happens, both Feanor and Theodric, you see Farron leading this giant Beorning boy to the front of the camp, and there's thunderous applause as many continue to shout, "Go, Derek! It's about time, lad!" and like things like that, all those types of stuff. You can see Lord Voltaire, he stands up and he smiles as he walks down like the center, because there's tables like on either side that are lining all the way to the campfire, back to the front where his tent is, where currently O'Derek is standing. And he looks to everybody and like he's smiling, and you can tell it's genuine joy upon his face. He looks to both Theodric and Feanor, and he gives the same smile, and he says, "This is going to be a night to remember. I promise." As he makes his way up to the front, he says, Everybody, calm down, calm down. Now, O'Derek. We all know O'Derek. He's been amongst our ranks for quite some time, and under the tutelage of Farron, he's grown to be quite the strapping young lad. He left us a few months ago, and I thought it might be the last that I had ever seen him, but I knew he would be back. I had a hunch. I'm going to have both Theodric and Feanor. I'm going to have you make insight checks for me.
Natural 20 for a 21.
And I got a 17.
You both see that his hand moves from the hilt of his sword down to the large sack that is hanging from his hip. It is probably about basketball size, if that makes sense, as it's hanging on his hip and his hand goes to it. And you smile, and Feanor, you can see a small, almost green flash in his eye.
Is this something that I've seen before?
This is
Like,
not
is this a
something
sign
you've seen before.
Is this...
Likely no. He says, all of you, you know how difficult it is to gain the trust of myself and the others here. And each of you have been asked many things. Many sacrifices have been made. And you must all be wondering what Oderic is here for his initiation. I must first ask, Oderic, do you come here willingly? Oderic looks to the group and he looks up. Actually, he's kind of looking down more. He looks down and he says, yes, I come here willingly. Oderic, kneel. Do you pledge your allegiance to the future king of Dale, your lord, Voltaire? He looks up and there's a bit of a hesitation in his face, but he nods and he says, I do, my lord. And Voltaire looks out to all of you and he says, we shall see. And he gestures off to the side as he asks something to be brought over. And what is brought, there are 3 men that are holding a man who is struggling. It's a tall man with a long black beard. He looks dirtied as if he has been traveling for some time. And they bring him to his knees. And he says, behold, all of you. This man that we have, this might be the first time you're seeing him. He came into camp this morning, and he's been safely stowed in a place where he has been made comfortable, and he has been free to talk. What is your name, sir? There's a small whisper, and he says, to everybody! What is your name, sir? And a gruff voice says, Tom. They call me Black Tom. Ah, Black Tom, is it? Tell me, Black Tom, are you a lord of men? The man shakes his head. I'm no more of a lord than you are. And he spits at his feet and... No, no, no. I am a lord. A lord who's been denied his throne. But you... I see that you possess a strength in you. Everybody, I want you to look into the eyes of Sir Tom. What do you see? If you see what I see, it is fight. Yes. Fight. When he came in this morning, I had the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with him. You see, Black Tom, he leads a group of people, Beornings, men of the north, and he says that he stands as a bulwark against the kingdom of the north. Some of you might have known a week ago, we had some emissaries from such a king. And I learned that that king is no friend to Beorn. And so we've been presented with an option. to pay some sort of fealty to this King of the North and join with them in their ransacking of Wilderland, or we forge our own path. We take Dale by means of our own strength. I'm a proud man. The latter seems more of a, well, maybe not as quite of a convenient option. I think it is my only way forward to showing what I am capable of, what we are capable of. We have brought Black Tom here to give testimony to what he has seen in his battles against the Kingdom of the North. Speak. For all of us to hear. This will help us to determine whether you are friend or foe. Go ahead. Go on. And the man, he looks up to all of you. And he clears his throat and he says, many men in these days call themselves kings, lords. With the death of Smaug, wickedness has spread throughout Wilderland. But King Bard, Beorn, Lord Hardfast, all of those who stand in firm rejection of the shadow, they are who you need to place your trust in. Not lords chasing their own aspirations, seeing that there's power just to be taken. No. I ask all of you. I plead with all of you. Don't listen to this man's silver tongue. He killed my people. He took me out of my lands. Here. If there is no one left to defend the North, to keep the armies of the Kingdom of the North in check, I fear for all of Wilderland and the rest of the kingdoms of men. So I say to you, Lord, do you have the strength to deal with the barbarians of the North? Vigland, Viglar. They have done atrocious things to my people. But I can see you are no different. And immediately, you hear, No, that is where you are wrong. I come from nobility, a noble stock. I do not seek to claim the throne just because I want power. I do what is rightfully owed to me. When Lord Girion fell, when the dragon came and burned down Dale, it was my ancestor, captain of the guard. It was him. He fled. And as per Dalish custom, if the lord is to fall, the kingship falls to the next in line. And that would have been my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. And we have waited until this moment. Till Thorin Oakenshield and his company of dwarves reclaimed Erebor, and this Bard the Bowman slew the dragon. Now is the time. Now is the time to pick sides. Do you want to be on the side that will fall to the shadow, or the side to drive it back? And you hear a number of people cheer. Now you, Sir Tom, you look to be a farmer. How have you garnered the respect of your people? And Tom, he looks up and says, I earned their trust. I kept safe their lands. And I was generous. And how is this any different from what I have done to all of you? You feast like kings in a forest. All that's missing is a castle. I promise safety. And I promise to thwart the shadows that dominate these lands. After the Battle of the Five Armies, more than half of the orcs and goblins in the north were routed, destroyed. I will seek the rest of them out, and they will fall under the might of Dale, under my leadership. Right now, King Bard sits in his tower, and he just watches. I seek to take action. People will come to know who we are. And even these makeshift kings of the north, they will either fight for us, or there will be our enemies. I'm not saying that we'll gather them underneath the banner of Dale, but we seek allies in times such as this. Oderic. And he turns to Oderic. What do you make of this man's case? And Oderic looks out to the crowd. And he says, "Why do you have him here, Lord? He's an innocent one. He's done nothing. I would release him." You have a point. He's done nothing to me. He's done nothing to us. Sir Tom, if we were to go thwart the allies of King Bard, those who would fight for him at his call, what would you have done with your people? Would you have heeded that call? It all depends on what you were planning to do. Do you seek peace or war? I think that has more to do with what Lord Beorn and King Bard would have. I'm all for peaceful negotiation. But if I know royalty, they will not give up their throne so willingly. I ask you again. Would you stand against us? Or, even if you didn't join our cause, would you let us pass? King Bard is the rightful heir to the throne of Dale. He has ties back to the ancestral line. I do not doubt that what you believe is true. But if there is a blood heir to King Girion, King Bard belongs on the throne and not you. Be noble. Do what is right and just. And bow to your king in Dale. I'm gonna have Feanor and Theodric. I'm gonna have the two of you make insight checks for me.
3.
13.
Theodric, you begin to feel rage well up inside of you. You're unsure if it's hatred for this man or perhaps something that you felt familiar, but it's all that you can do to keep from staying in your seat, but you do not even attempt to comprehend what is going on right now. However, Feanor, as you stay a little bit more calm and collected, you can see that as these words leave Tom's lips, there's almost a eerie calm that falls over the face of Voltaire. And he says, I understand. You see, everybody, this is part of what power brings. No matter what you do, no matter what cause you fight for, you will meet resistance. I have made up my mind. The king in the north can screw himself. We have all the strength we need. More will come to our cause, and we will be victorious. Now, Derek, it might not seem fair, but this is what I ask of you. Based off of everything you've heard, after you've sworn fealty to me, what shall we do with Sir Tom? Should we let him go back to his people? Have him spread word of what we're doing? And his face immediately grows sour? Or is his life forfeit? Oh, Derek, he looks, and his eyes grow wide as he looks down. And immediately, Farron hands him what looks to be a large axe. The choice is yours. And I mean it, fully. Do you believe in my vision for a future? A future of prosperity? Or do you have doubt? And you can see that Derek is struggling in this moment. As he looks into the eyes of Tom and into the eyes of the Lord. Oh, I understand it's a hard decision to make. I think that's one of the most important things that anybody should learn. Knowing when to take a life and when to spare it. Both come with consequences. But from what I know of you, you have no problem with taking lives, do you? And Derek looks immediately and just looks shocked. I know. Unfairly, death has been thrust upon you, my lad. And I will not thrust it upon you. As he takes the axe and he throws it down to the ground. Go! Off with you. Unbind him. Send him back to whatever's left of his people. Beorn will know sooner or later. Derek. And he looks out. And he points to Feanor. And you. Come with me.
Feanor stands and follows. As he does, he whispers to Theodric, well, improvisation's gonna be the way of things, I suppose. Gives him a little pat on the shoulder. It's like, keep a sign out for Jess.
And with that, we're going to go into a similar thing from last time. You don't have to drop off of the stream. But what I do ask of you is there might be a time that I text in the chat like, hey, you guys are good to come back. There is potential that could happen depending on what direction this happens. So if you guys want to stay on, don't listen to the stream or anything, but just hang out, monitor chat, mute it. We're gonna go into another sequence.
Okie dokie.
Okay. I will see you on the flippity flip. And with that,
Bye.
bye. Follow me. And with that, Feanor, he leads you not into his tent, but into the forest. You and Oderic and the Lord Voltaire. And he walks slowly, examining the trees, not looking back. He stands a couple paces in front of you, and he says, "So, Oderic, I want to tell you something." And he turns around immediately, and he places his hands on Oderic's shoulders as he looks up into his eyes. "I trust you. You have grown. Earlier, after just meeting you, I know that it would have been so easy for you to just take that life. The fact that you are pondering such a question is everything that I need to know. I do not seek ruthlessness. I seek compassion. Many of those men out there, while I trust them, I know at the drop of a hat, they would have severed that man's head from his shoulders. But that shows me something, that you have heart. Now, why did I bring you along, Feanor, the Lochduin? Well, the reason I brought you along is because I know you've experienced something. I think you and Oderic are kindred, in a way. Maybe from different upbringings, different stories. But you both lost something, haven't you? People. Important people. Feanor, tell me about Jalen.
How do you know that's name?
See, I'm a man of foresight. Some people call it a gift, and it is in some ways, but it is my curse. It's my burden to bear. I have a way of telling if people are honest with me, Feanor. And actually, compared to many people that I meet for the first time, I'm quite surprised at how relatively honest you were. Sure, maybe there were some gaps in your story. But I know things. I want you to know, Feanor, that I mean you and your friends no harm. I just want a chance to know you, to understand you. I think you're important in Middle-earth. For some reason, my visions, they bring me to you and your company. I've seen myself on that throne in Dale. Why do you think I believe in my cause so? But it wasn't until recently that visions of you and your companions have fallen under my gaze. And I wonder why. I want to believe what you said is true, Feanor. That you will work to build stronger bonds here in Middle-earth.
I've worked before with men who others would have considered a lost cause. If you know of me, then perhaps you know of the men of Tyrant Hill.
Oh. Unfortunately, I think we've taken a few of their goods. Oops. But if all goes well, it's a payment that we're all hopefully willing to make in the long run.
But I've been willing to talk to men that others saw as consumed by certain wants, certain drives, certain needs, and I was able to reason with them. I was able to appeal to them as long as they swore to fight back the forces of shadow that were in these lands.
Which brings me to my question. What is it that you truly want? Someone who's experienced such loss at the hands of cruel, cruel people. What is it that you want, Feanor? Sure, it's easy to talk about platitudes about driving evil back from all the corners, uniting people, and as far as I'm aware, our causes align. We're the same. But there's something that is curious to me. In your journeys, much of it seems to be clouded by darkness, darkness that I cannot see through. Shadow. Why should I trust you? What is it that is the deepest desire of your heart? I wear my purpose on my sleeve. You know what I'm about. But what is it that you want? Are you an agent of shadow? Or are you one who's just simply lost? It's curious to me. Oderic can understand. He's experienced quite a bit in his life, and Oderic, he nods, he shrugs. He murdered the very two men that murdered his parents. He killed one of his own. He's been labeled a kinslayer.
You and I both know that's not true.
Do I know that? And he looks over to Oderic. Enlighten us. Would you? Oderic looks back and forth between the two of you. He's waiting for any kind of gesture that you make, Feanor.
Just ask, how far away from the camp are we?
You're probably about a solid 30 paces. I mean, you're still within the camp, so you're not like... Yeah, you're
just
still
away
within
from
the
the
camp,
main...
but away from the main area, probably a couple campsites over at this point.
I didn't lie to your lord as such, as he said that I was more forthcoming with a lot of details. The best lies contain truth. And I wasn't expecting to meet such a large force of men here. But we've spoken to Brunhild. I know the truth of the matter of the events that happened there. She had no reason to lie. Why do you choose to stay here? Is it out of respect? You seem to have a connection with your lord here. He seems to value you. But why are you here? Who did you lose? As your lord says, that drives you to be here. What about you could convince me to swear allegiance? Undying for, as you have.
Make a persuasion check for me.
Never good at these. A 17.
I've lost everything. Everything. My family. My friends. And soon, the love of my own people. I fight for... Perseverance isn't perseverance. I fight for compassion. I fight for love. I fight for someone who cares. Someone who gives a damn. I am so sick of being the doormat to everybody's problems. But there is something that I am holding on to. And it is hope. And he looks to Voltaire. And he looks back down to the ground and he says, "It is true. I am a kinslayer." Make a insight check for me, Feanor.
7.
This seems true. I am a kinslayer. I've killed many more than I care to admit. And unfortunately, it's brought me here. But I'm sure with you, my lord, Voltaire, that working for you I will be redeemed. I will find honor again. And one day, I will. I will be accepted by those who care about me the most. Voltaire, he kind of steps back, looking a little bit impressed, and he says, "Ah, good. There is someone that you're fighting for. Hold that deep in your gut. Hold that person in your heart. That is going to be your motivation. That is the strength that I see in you. It's the strength of hope. It's the fire. It's the fire that blots out the darkness. Yes. Yes. And Feanor.
And who is it? And who is it you fight for, Voltaire?
You know, I've been asked a lot of questions in my time, and this one, nobody's had the gall to bring up. I respect you for that. Who do I fight for? When I was raised, other than the shield, the armor, and the sword that my father gave me, I was abandoned. My mother, she was a harlot, and she worked as much as she could to be able to make sure that there was a roof over my head. And I was given a note. And he pulls out of his, basically, his armor, a note. And this. This was a letter that was written by my great-great-grandfather. He was in living memory. He was in living memory of Girion. When my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather passed, and he passed down, and he shows the armor on himself, the shield on his back, he passed these down. His last wish, and he points to the letter, his last wish was to provide hope for people. Every single one of my ancestors were too weak to reclaim any semblance of what they had lost. What do I fight for? I fight for the lost. And the darknesses that prey on those who are weak, they will be smashed under my boot, under my strength, under my arm. I know the darknesses of the world all too well. Feanor, I'm going to have you make a shadow lore check for me. Oop, can't hear ya.
19.
19. You know the darknesses of the world too. And they are pointing directly to his hip. Now tell me. What do you not have in common with Oderic? You've been exiled by your people off of an act that you've done. You've wandered around here and there, never truly fitting in, never truly having a place to call home. And you've lost people. The only difference between you and Oderic is the one he wishes to keep safe is alive, and yours is dead.
Yet I carry the hope with me. I carry a song with me. I carry my own dreams forth for this Middle Earth. Oh, Derek, in the time that I have known of you, you do not seem like a monster. Maybe misguided, but there seemed to be more to you than what others have said. But you have been weak. And maybe with time and experience, even tonight, the fact that you did not kill that man shows a steadying of a hand, shows more contemplation, a wisdom that comes for a warrior. Why do you fight for Voltaire and not some other lord? Is it purely because if they ever found out that of your connection, they would hand you over to Bjorn? Or what? What is it that has earned your loyalty other than gifts and a fleeting sense of safety here?
I've made mistakes in my past, and I admit that. I have not done the best job of ingratiating myself with my family, my friends, and when someone suffers at your hands, it puts your life and everything into perspective. All I wanted to do was just run away. I want to believe in something. I want to believe that there's a future for me. I'm a coward. I know I am. When I was being transported back to Bjorn, orcs overcame us, and Maravich threw himself in front of me and took the arrows of the orcs. And in his dying breath, with one last shout, he launched a spear skewering both of them. But not before him and Odo perished. If I had any semblance of strength, I would have gone to Bjorn myself. I knew the way. I took it as an opportunity to run. At that point, at that moment, in my cowardice, I knew there was no turning back. Voltaire, he's cared for me even when I've abandoned him. He's always welcomed me back, even when I've broken his laws. He's not only a noble man, but he's a man who can win hearts. He's patient, and he's kind, but he's also ruthless when he must. Voltaire. Lord Voltaire. I promise. I will do all that I can to follow my heart. He looks to you, Feanor. I'm gonna have you make an insight check for me.
17.
He does not plan to stay. It is clear in his eye. But Voltaire, he looks and he sees the gaze between the two of you. For a brief moment, he says, "Oh, that's what we all desire, is to follow our hearts. And sometimes when the desire of your heart dies, we have to reorient them to new things. In the case of Feanor, his did die in the darkness, ruthlessly. In your case, O Derek, your hope lives on. I only hope that in the end you can find peace and solace in the choices that you make. And he puts a hand on his head, up. He ruffles his hair, and he says, "No matter what happens, I'm proud of you. Truly, I'm proud of you. Know that."
Thought I'll answer your question about what it is that I really want. If you show me what's in that bag, you know what I speak of. You know why I ask.
I don't think you'll like what you see. And before I answer even further, I must ask, what do you think it is?
I think it is something of magic. Something older than men, perhaps. Something of a time before. The way you reacted when I mentioned ancient elven artifacts of magic, and the way that these men have reacted to you and react around you, and these visions that you have, something of shadow.
Oh, shadow, huh? Feanor. Before we do this, and he narrows his eyes, he looks to Oderic and he says, "You've passed. Join the rest of the men. I'll be there shortly." And he waits for him to leave and he says, "Have a seat." And he pulls up a stump and he sits down across from you. And as he sits, he kind of is like, it's not as lordly as he used to, and he has a kind of this open stance, and the sack hangs from his belt. He says, "Shadow, I think we're misunderstanding each other. There are many magics in this world, Feanor. And there are many opportunities and ways that you can deal with the magic. There are good magics, there are evil magics. There are many good folk that have been driven mad by the good magics of this world. The power consumes them. It is only a matter in how we are using magic that, in my opinion, determines the morality of it. As I had mentioned, this gift of mine is a curse. I don't know if I can truly be freed of it. Magics. Let me ask you, before I show you this, what do you plan to do from here? Whether you stay, whether you go, how is this going to impact our relationship going forward? I respect you, Feanor. I want you to know that. And your companions as well, though one still hasn't shown her face. Slippery one. But I guess I would ask you, what would you do in such a situation? If you were granted with the ability to foresee the outcomes of every possible event, every possible enemy that stands in your way, what would you do? And use it for good, of course. I only seek to do what is right, what is just, with this power that I've been granted. But I can't remember the last time I've slept. I can't remember the last time that I've truly been whole. But I have faith that there are powers of this world that can reverse what has been done. And that's what I must hold on to. What would you do in such a situation? If you knew every outcome that could potentially befall you, gathering your allies from across all of the lands, knowing exactly your enemy and where they're hiding. What an advantage that would bring, wouldn't it?
All I know is that in my travels and my adventures, I have always been able to maintain a control. Almost always, but in the most dire of circumstances. But I have first-hand experience at what the shadow does to the mind. It literally turns the most noble and brave of people, those willing to throw their own lives down for the sake of others, those who are more than willing to do everything in their power to make things right. It twists them, corrupts them in their ambitions, no matter how noble. But I will admit that if I had the foresight to see what the shadow would do, what dangers I might avert, what great hosts that I might prepare for, I know not what I would do, but I know that I would try to use it for good, and pray that there were those like me who could stop me if need be.
You and I are more alike than we think, but I understand the burden that this can bring. And I want to thank you for being completely honest with me. I've seen my fair amount of shadow too, and I've seen how it corrupts. And I would agree with you in every circumstance, except what this gift brings me is assured victory. I can see. Days of peace. No more fear. No more shadow. Before I show you, steel yourself. I know I have to. And with that, he draws the strings of his bag open, and he reaches inside, and he pulls out something round and circular, and he shows it to you. This is where I get my power, and he lifts a small cloth from the top of it, and it's a severed, mummified head. Now this is the source of my visions, and it has not led me astray up until this point. He takes it, and he puts the cloth back on it, and he puts it back in the sack. I know, gruesome. As you can imagine, you can see why I sent young Oderic off. I don't know if the boy's sanity could handle something quite as that, but you've had many years of life here in Middle-earth. You've experienced many a few things, and I'm sure this is not a surprise to you. Well, I'm sure it's quite shocking, but I can see by your face that's not quite what you were expecting, though.
I will admit I'm a little surprised that it's just a head. You know, you did mention beheading someone earlier when we first met in your tent, and
well, could you imagine me just carrying this around unkept? That would bring a new meaning to Voltaire the Bloody, wouldn't it? Voltaire the Gruesome, and that's not the kind of image of a lord that I want to paint for myself, you understand. Let's think of this as my jewel, my treasure, my trinket, my my path toward victory, as the path has been laid out before me.
Well, this head, was it a human head?
It was a human head, but it was shrunken so much that this looks old. It's been shrunken so much to the fact where it's like the skull, it's like tight to the skull and it's like contorted to. It looks gruesome, but it's probably human.
Okay. Well, I believe I did say that I would tell you what my great ambition is, what it is I truly want. And I believe that in some ways you and I are not so different. Unlike most men, I know that with light comes shadow. In the brightness that is the glory of life, things will cast shadows. People will cast shadows. Ambitions will. But I want to live in a world where my name is remembered, where it's sung in songs along Gilgalad and Elrond.
I understand, Feanor, and he stands up, and as he does so, he sits next to you on the ground, and he puts his hand on your shoulder, and he says, "And that is what I wish as well. Immortality. Maybe not in the physical sense, but I want to be remembered as the one who's the bringer of peace in Middle-earth. That when they look back
land of shadow.
When they look back in the history books, that they have my name, your name, and those who fought to repel it. Bards will sing of our great deeds. But ultimately, our duty, our task, once it is complete, it will ring in eras and generations of peace to come. Can you only imagine, once our bodies pass away, yours, you might live to see this world of peace, with some luck. But once my body has withered away, it'll be in the minds of those like you, and the history books that will remember Lord Voltaire, the defeater of Shadow, the savior of Middle-earth. And our people will gather and rejoice. Families will grow, populations will spread. There will not be a corner in Middle-earth, from the western shores all the way into the deep valleys of Rune, that will not see days of peace. That is what I fight for. Even if some heads have to roll to get there. I've seen what I've had to do. I'm not happy about it. But it will usher in peace. Sacrifice needs to be made on every front. Trust me. If it could be easier, I would do it. It doesn't make the decision to take on the Beordings, take on Bard, any easier to digest.
Believe what you must, but there's a reason they're called shortcuts. If there were the right way to do things, everyone would be doing it. This magic, this head, whatever foresight it offers you, that is a shortcut. And maybe when you are long gone and people speak of your name, maybe they will talk of you as a king, as the new leader of the new leader of Dale, a grand king. Or they may call you a fool, one who fell to his own ambition, corrupted by that which gave him his advantage. I have no wish to fight you or your men. I try to solve things peacefully, diplomatically, and I know that there is good and bad within every person, whether they be elf, dwarf, man, So I do not judge you for the choices that you've had to make to get to here. But you are a master of your own fate. Do not let something twist and corrupt what you know. Decisions that you might have made. Don't let yourself be controlled by something you do not understand. Does it talk to you?
Make an insight check for me.
14.
He's hesitant. No. It does not talk to me. But I have, on occasion, spoken with it. I receive no answers, except for only those that I perceive. And they have not led me astray to this point. What I have learned so far regarding you, your companions, I've seen doubt, but I've seen darkness. And I am unsure about you. You are a piece to the puzzle that is yet to be sorted out. All I know, and the reason that I can be so sure of my ambitions, is I have seen it. As long as I walk this path, as long as I continue to do what I must, there will be peace. There will be peace. There will be peace. I think the party's going to be missing us. As he stands up.
I hope that you find your peace.
Me too.
In the future to come.
Me too.
Not peace for this kingdom. And Feanor's full staring him down. Inner peace. You seem to be a man sorely lacking. And Feanor walks back to the party.
And with that, we are going to end our session. I am going to jump in here. And I ask that you keep this a secret until we have our next session. So just between us.
Yes.
And with that, if Dom jumps back on, we can go ahead and wrap up for today about this session. What are your thoughts? We can go ahead and start with you, Nick.
God, not talking about the stuff that we just went through, but as a broad strokes, that was intense. I didn't think I would reveal quite so much if you would have asked me at the beginning of the session. But hearing the things that he's oh no, he knows that we're of what we've done. He knows I'm having visions. I'm look, that's weird, but we still have people that we have talked to about this. It is not unlikely that in our adventures word may have spread, or maybe he does have some vague gifts of foresight. But when he said Jalen's name, Feanor almost pulled out his bow and shot the bag on his waist. Because he once he got sense that it was magical, there was shadow radiating from this thing. He almost
I'm here just in case you're saying stuff I'm not supposed to know.
No, I know. I saw you join back.
Okay.
But yeah, very, very interesting kind of stuff. But no, it was a good session. It was very tense at times, as well. Especially with Jalen, not Jalen. Oh my god, this is going to be an issue again. Every time we mention Jalen, it gets stuck in my head. But Jess going off and talking to Oderic and getting this being almost successful in what we wanted to do. Feanor and Theodric and just trying to come up with a plan of what to do. The king taking Feanor aside. They're all just really interesting things, and without going into details, made me think really hard about things for my character. Very.
I need to get my hands on Jess now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're like,
long
there's
gone.
you're like, there's a pile of
She
gold.
stole away in the night, literally.
Thousands of like dragons worth of gold. What
Now
are
you know
gonna
how
do?
I felt last week. You know how I felt last week, Nick.
Yeah. My
Good luck,
lord.
because if it's anything like what happened to me, you're gonna spend the next week turning this over in your head like.
Nah. It's gonna be the next
Fëanor
2 weeks.
Okay. Oh, he gets an extra week. Okay, never mind. You get an extra
An
week.
bro,
extra week
look.
to suffer.
Look, bro,
You-
look.
you
If
can just turn it over in
Keep
your
talking,
head,
I'm listening.
if you successfully told us more or less everything that got like put across in your little meeting, yeah,
Oh,
no,
no.
mine,
There was
Okay.
more.
yeah, mine went places.
Yeah. Mine went places too. Theodric, for the sake of expediency, was just like,
Yeah,
dude's bad news and very scary.
but like, is it stuff that you'll never tell us, or is it stuff that you just didn't
It's
think
stuff
was
that
prevalent?
he just didn't think was important right now.
You'll have to find out if this is stuff that Fëanor will ever talk about.
Yeah.
Maybe you won't ever find that out.
Mm.
But no, it asked a lot of questions and a lot of deep stuff. Because O'Derek went over there as well. But no, yeah.
Have fun. Like this is just, like it's so rough because you're gonna be thinking about this the next 2 weeks. Just
Yeah.
mulling it over.
Yeah.
Many
yeah.
choices, many options, many thoughts.
We just flee in the night. That's no.
You're evil, Kyle. You're evil. And I know that as a DM that brings you great joy.
It's crazy
also know
because
that
this
Kyle
is like
makes
nothing
more-
like my normal personality. So
He makes morally grey characters, and I'm like, oh, but
I don't
there's
make the
aspects-
characters.
No, you play them really well.
They're
Like,
written so
as soon
well.
as soon as I heard that it's like, oh yeah, they had envoys set off to Tyrant's Hill, I'm like, oh my god, if we didn't ally Tyrant's Hill with the Woodmen, odds are they would have joined these people. And I'm like, thank Lord. Fëanor convinced no, thank Lord we convinced them to do that. And like, yeah, like it has been interesting to dive into what is going on here and the people and this king, this lord.
Not king
Yes. No. But if I can just get that bag, our whole future's gonna be, I'll have whatever thingamajiggies he's got. I'll have the heebie-jeebies. I'll be insane.
What are your thoughts, Dom, on tonight's session? From what you were able to entail,
what
I
are
know there's
the-
a lot of waiting at the end, but
There's a lot of waiting. It's such a this is such a tense thing because usually like fighting our way out is an option, but with this many people, not an option. You know?
We basically have hand grenades in the form of oil. We're
Yeah,
fine.
it's not though. It's really not.
No. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, there's
You
a
know,
big
it's
difference
just-
between a bandit camp of 30 people and one of 250.
yeah.
And I would
right?
even say that this is a bandit camp per se. It's like a camp. There's some bandits here, but it's mostly like warriors and like fighters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look, let's just recreate our like battle royale we had at the beginning of of the campaign
Yeah,
at the
see-
festival. This is the same.
No,
Men
it's
building.
not. These people aren't all going to be fighting each other. They're all going to be
What?
gunning for us.
Oh, look, that shows you where the leaders here. They all had to group up to fight us.
Yeah, it's called plot armor.
God,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
Ask Jalen.
No,
how
there is
plot
no
armor
plot
works.
armor here. I've been frightfully aware that there is no plot armor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm
But,
excited.
oh,
I'm excited to see too. Since Jess isn't here, I'm excited to see with her plundered loot how she uses it. Natural 20s are gonna get you some pretty sweet things.
We were actually rolling really well.
Really
today.
well. Like it was pretty
I
quality.
wasn't.
Yeah.
As an average of the group,
Yeah.
a lot of those rolls were like 15 or higher.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was actually I got to a point where I was just like, I wasn't surprised when I heard it was like 10 or higher, and I was like, that sounds good.
I rolled a 2. No. Sorry, Theodric, for that wisdom save. You soaked up all the bad luck for us.
It is what it is.
But yeah, sorry, I didn't interrupt you. But yeah, what else did you think was cool about the session?
I'm just like, I'm dealing with how intense it is. Trying to figure out, like you said, this isn't even like morally great. Voltaire's morally great. Admittedly, he's heavily on the. He's kind of more on the evil side from what we've seen.
Is he though?
He's been talking about putting Bayon's head on his belt. So yeah, kinda. I refuse to believe any nice person's like, I want a head on my belt. That's not sane behavior. Like, did Aragorn just like put the Witch King's, not the Witch King, the Mouth of Sauron's head on his belt at the Battle of Blackgate? No.
Bro should have. It would have been awesome.
No. That's instant 7 points of shadow at least.
With his upside down mouth.
No. See, no, Aragorn's immune to shadow because it's plot armor.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's
Frodo's
got plot armor.
Frodo takes extra damage from shadow.
Yeah.
Extremely weak to shadow.
I'm pretty sure Voltaire's evil with the whole head Bayon, burn down Stony Furt.
Maybe he's just a really nice guy that we haven't
Okay.
you know, who knows what Feanor and him spoke about.
He gave us some wine. He's okay.
Yeah.
Gave you some nice Dorwinian wine. The best of the best. Cherry
it
from
can't
his
be
own
all
personal
bad.
stores.
See, he's at least got taste. What did Bard have? A nice flowing beard.
Isn't Dorwinian wine the wine I bought ages ago?
Yep.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
It's like, can you imagine being like, here's my fancy wine? You're like, no, I've had it before.
It's actually where Eula is from, originally from, who is the current queen of Dale.
Oh my god, that's
she's from
cool
Dorwinion.
back.
Yep, way back in the day.
Because we had it at that party, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, is that the stuff we were drinking when he embarrassed himself in front of Thranduil?
Oh yeah.
Yes, it was. It's
Oh,
also
God,
the stuff I bought.
That's
at-
deep cuts.
What's it called? When we went back in time.
Oh yeah.
When we went back in time, I bought it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we poisoned it to knock out the guards.
Oh my god. Oh my lord. So much stuff has happened in this campaign.
Oh yeah.
I am
It's been a
interested
time
to
and a
see
half.
if we'll just be allowed to leave camp, honestly.
Hey,
as well.
they let Black Tom leave.
Did they?
He's 5 feet from camp, riddled with arrows, just in the long grass.
Dragging him back into the camp. It's like,
Yeah, no, like Theodore just looks
The
up and
cost
sees like,
of
a guy,
mercy.
like dragging him away. It's like, oh, we're so glad to set him free. Rolls him into a ditch. Hey, he's out of our camp now. He tripped.
The illusion of free will.
oh, yeah. No, it was a good session. I'm pretty happy with how it's going so far. Like I said, I just need to get my hands on Jess somehow.
I still want to blow stuff up.
The
But
options
actually, I do
are
think
all
it's
on the
very-
table still.
I do think it's very. I feel like because like you know, we've been getting these sessions, these one-on-ones with this character who knows more than he should. And I think it's very funny that he hasn't gotten a hold of Jess because she's like, I am too stealthy and I'm sneaking around camp and no one has seen me and I'm just messing with people,
Yep.
throwing rocks at people's heads. And he's like, I know she's here. Like, I know she's here somewhere.
Now,
But where is she?
Here's where Dominic's put his tinfoil hat on. I think that's a Palantir. I think he's got a Palantir in a bag. He doesn't have his visions. He's looking through a Palantir. He's being sneaky.
I can't say anything because who knows? Who knows
Okay.
what it could have been.
Yeah, you don't need to confirm or deny.
There's bad
Like I
voodoo.
said.
Like we know there's bad voodoo coming from.
Yeah.
Like
Right,
that-
like I
that-
Voodoo
said,
Mama Juju.
I've got the
Yeah.
silver hat on, the tinfoil hat on. I've got my Pepe Sylvia board up behind me, and I've got the little red strings, and I'm piecing it together.
What do you reckon we do if it is a Palantir? Do we take it?
I'm gonna. Yeah, we take it.
Yeah,
For sure.
Theodric can look into the orb.
No,
He's
no.
already been having horrible.
I'm already
horrible
having
visions.
horrific visions.
I guess it's time to traumatize Jess then.
No.
Hey Jess, can you look into this for me?
How do you think I'm gonna get my hands on her?
We nick it and we yeet it into the lake. Lake Town's lake.
Oh wow, throwing ancient evil artifacts into a lake. They never wash up anywhere and change the fate of the whole of Middle Earth.
Pretty good. Pretty good
But
point,
it-
actually.
It'll at least be a couple thousand
Anduin?
years.
Yeah. This is a big glass ball, so maybe it will shatter.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Shit, give it to Thranduil.
God no! Oh my lord!
Well,
Even I know that's a bad idea.
Express ship it over to Rivendell.
So it is important
it-
to note some background between the Palantirs. So it's really interesting because specifically in the War of the Ring, the Palantir that Lord Denethor has is the only one that actually has a connection with, or not that has like a direct connection with Sauron. And it's not that, sorry, the one that Saruman has. However, Lord Denethor has the ability to, basically he doesn't have the ability to like contact Sauron through it, but Sauron tried to contact him. And the cool, like we look at like Lord Denethor in like the films and he's just like, he eats tomatoes like really disgustingly. However, he is a freaking beast because he resists like Sauron. He like sits there and like Sauron's trying to like corrupt him through the Palantir and he's like, nah. He's like, I freaking got this, and his like mind is like,
No man, I'm built different.
he
So
is.
is that the same thing that like as they tried to do to the king in Rohan? Like they were trying to do that to Denethor as well.
Yep.
That's cool. Look, honestly, you have to give him some credit for
Denethor,
that.
like Denethor,
He
he's
did
kind
try
of
to
painted
burn
as
his
a
son
loser,
alive.
but
He did try to burn his son and himself alive, and gave up. Pretty much gave up.
the end
but-
of his line. And so he went a little bit crazy, and that's actually a perfect example of how shadow works in this world. Is like you're good until you break, and then it's just like then the rivers flow full of shadow into you, and it's not good.
I wonder which one of us three, like us people, not like the characters, us players. I wonder which one of us three will be the first to have someone break. Because I remember the Jalen got very, very, very close.
With the
like
way-
literally seeing visions of like some like ghost woman trying to like pull her towards like
Look,
the shadow.
with the way Leah plays Jessamine, nicking everything she can, there's no doubt in my mind.
Maybe just breaks. How many apartments have I? How many houses have I broken into?
Only like two
or
or
three. Still, that's still like 3 or 4.
That's a lot,
points of
but how-
shadow.
But Jess has been here a lot less. Like she hasn't been here as long.
Not as
How many
long.
people has she stolen from?
Like, well, it was mostly goblins. There was those dudes with the map.
And now
Um,
she's stolen a sword.
Yeah, so 2 things. Well, let's be honest, it's going to be Theodric going insane from all his visions. We just give him the Palantir, it's like Shadow Squared. Like...
I'm
you're like, I can
surprisingly-
see Sauron! It's like, who's Sauron? The Dark Lord!
Surprisingly, Theodric's not doing so bad on the points of shadow.
How many?
Yeah, you're doing actually really good on your wisdom saving throws, and because so like the way that the shadow works is like things that you do intentionally will always give you shadow. It doesn't matter what you roll. It's just a varying degrees of shadow. So like stealing stuff, but like witnessing things and like shadow happening to you, if you roll well enough, there's a potential to not get any shadow. And those are the ones that Theodric has been ruling really well on, is not getting shadow based off of like the influence of the shadow, if that makes sense. We're like breaking into somewhere, that's automatic points of shadow. It just is a varying scale of whether, because it's like a misdeed.
Stealing somebody's map.
Yeah.
Points of shadow. Stealing their fancy sword. Points of shadow.
Exactly.
Like,
So-
I'm at 8 out of 12, so I'm 2/3 of the way to something bad happening. But we have seen that I think I am one of the only people who, outside of Valinet's like special magic hands, has recovered from points of shadow. Because I do know, I think I got to take away 2 of them. But that was because of stuff that I did in my off time.
I think the cake you gave us took away
No.
shadow. Honey
did it?
cakes?
No,
No,
there's a
they give you
special.
the effect of a long rest.
There's
That's right, they
there's a
took away
special like flower. It's called Shadowthorn. If you use it, you can only use it once per year, and you can remove 1 point of shadow from somebody. And so that was used.
Valinus did that. Valinus did that on Jalen, didn't he?
He did.
In the Mirkwood, because she was going insane.
She was going insane. She was like
2
very
sessions
quickly
before
going
she copped
insane.
it.
Yeah. Like it's probably for the best she died.
It was gonna be a long and winding road. But anyways, we should probably end it there for tonight. It's
Yes.
almost 11
Yeah,
and
we're
midnight
just
for you
chatting.
guys. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
But
yeah,
it was a
just
great,
yapping.
great session. I'm so looking forward to a couple of weeks. So our next session for Wilderland Adventure is going to be on, I believe, August 14th. So next week is Eriador Adventure, and then August 14th, or at least, yeah, for us, August 14th will be our next session.
Yes.
And then, just going forward from there. But we do have a full week of streams. No Everlast this weekend, but make sure you tune in for that. Join the Discord, do all that kind of stuff. We do have a sponsored Dice Snacky, Japanese Treats and Luxury Treats. Go check them out. Put your name at checkout. That's going to be sweet. Ordering from them, it does help us, so do that. And then, we have candles and coffee. Also, go check that out. It's going to be sweet. I'm tired. I need to go eat some dinner. I will see you all later. May the road go ever onward and onward. Thank you all. You guys are amazing. I will see you on Monday.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.